Well, good morning. Well, sorry about that. I don't want to echo. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for day 3 of this trial, and I'm kind of playing with some configuration on my desk, moving my iPad in, all that kind of good stuff. Trying to figure out what's the best way for all this to work for moi. Got my road thus far papers, got fresh papers, got my drink sitting right there. Mouse can go over there. I have been struggling with having enough space to write. I have a small desk. This is a small room, y'all. Got my little collapsible, what you used to call TV trays. Now they're folding tables. I have to show you what my daughter got me. I have to show you. If you notice back there, I have a Highland cow over there, and then there's another Highland cow over there. But oh, look, what did she got me? A Highland cow. Oh, I love my little Highland cow. So he's going to sit right next to me on my desk, just in case Mama needs some loving. Oh, it is cold and nippy this morning. I don't even know what the weather's going to do. I haven't even pulled it up. But it is chilly and nippy, as they say, nippy. We are waiting for the jury to come in. Everybody else seems to be placed and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our weather and do the local weather for the Central Texas area. In the Kerrville and the surrounding area, the low was 43 this morning. The high will be 76. As in, it'll be sunny today. Tomorrow it'll be strong winds with a low of 53, a high of 77. And of course, this weekend is going to be fabulous and beautiful with the lows in the 58 is the lowest low and 64 is the lowest low. But it's going to be in the highs of 80 and 84. I am excited. Geocaching this weekend. Easter weekend's going to be gorgeous. Oh, no. Oh, no. An acquaintance of mine's grandson suffered a traumatic brain injury at the age of 15 from a dirt bike accident. Luckily, he was wearing full body armor. He would have never made it this far. I won't go into details, but Lord, right now we ask that you heal this young man, that you comfort his family, and that you bring every cell back into the alignment as the day he was born. In Jesus' name. We will continue to pray for that young man. Is also praying for those who lost family members in the collapse of the bridge in Boston. That is horrible. It's just been a bad week for some of us. Luckily, really good for others. I am just scrolling through my news media, looking at what I may or may not need to share. While we await for today's trial, I do want to share, if anybody is in the Boerne, Texas area, let me go to her page. The Boerne, Texas area Glow is meeting Thursday, April 4th at 7 p.m. in Kendall Hall in Boerne, Texas. The speaker is going to be Rawleen Luna. She's the president of that chapter, Lighthouse. Amazing woman of God. Rawleen is a president of the Boerne Glow Lighthouse. She's a leader in direct sales industry for over 25 years. She was phenomenal. She has a privilege of mentoring thousands of women and being the occasional speaker at corporate events and an inspirational trainer during that time. She was mine. I absolutely adore her. The Lord has been shifting her to calling over in the past 2 years to minister to the women through women's church conferences. And they have a church called the Fireworks Church in Bernie. The Holy Spirit started moving. The Holy Spirit started this move of God in their living room 3 years ago during COVID, and I remember this time very well. He has been faithful to continue to stir up a hunger for Jesus, and they are grateful to be a part of the leadership team. She is awesome. They've been ministering through Zoom in Pakistan and India weekly. Raleen is ministering through her position with the Bernie Glow Lighthouse and believes without a doubt it's time to equip the body of Christ in the Word and in power to prepare for the days ahead. Please, if you're in the Bernie area and would like to attend, please do so. It will be a wonderful evening and you will absolutely enjoy it. So I'm just looking for more news in our local area. Dennis Wilson was our special guest at the Central Texas Area Glow Conference last weekend. He is an amazing, amazing man of God. That was a powerhouse, y'all. All right, let's see what's going on with court. We are still waiting. Why did you stop playing? I didn't push stop. Let's get this going again. Okay, they're still shuffling papers and moving people around. Okay, first witness. Would be nice to be mic'd, but is what it is. Yesterday's notes. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring it on. Let me bring it aboard. Why am I not hearing it in my left ear?
Thank you, Honor. Good morning. Would you please tell the jury your full name and your occupation?
Correct. My name is Roberto, middle initial E, last name of Heredia, with an H. I'm a Border Patrol agent working for the Nogales Border Patrol Station.
Sir, could you spell your last name for the court report?
It'll be Herede, D as in dog, IA.
Thank you. Could you tell the jury just a little bit about yourself?
Boy, their mics are soft today. I've got this
I've been
ganged up all the way,
with Border
y'all.
Patrol for approximately going on 15 years here in July. I've been stationed in the Nogales station my whole career. I am a local, based here in Nogales, Arizona, currently living in Rio Rico.
And what sort of assignments have you had over that 15-year period that you've been here at the Nogales Border Patrol Station?
I've had numerous assignments ranging from undercover work to detention work and part of a mountain team for approximately 5-6 years.
And in January of 2023, what was your assignment?
I was assigned to the east side of Nogales, Arizona as part of that mountain team.
Did that include the Chino Springs area?
Yes, it did.
I want to clear up a question one of the jurors had earlier with another witness before we get started on the events of January 30th. Could you tell us the difference between a checkpoint and a port?
Yes, the port of entry is the main entry into the United States. It's usually manned by CBP officers, custom officials. A checkpoint is further in the interior of the United States, primarily checking for immigration status, and is primarily manned by Border Patrol agents.
So checkpoints are you all green shirts?
Correct.
Border Patrol?
Correct.
And then ports of entry are blue shirts?
Blue shirts, that is correct.
And the ports of entry, those are right on the border?
Right on the border, correct.
And then you all are responsible, if I understand correctly, for the checkpoint and everything in between the ports of entry?
That is correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now I'd like to talk about January 30th of 2023. We heard another Border Patrol agent talk about his experience. Did you go to an academy as well?
I did go to an academy. The academy was in Artesia, New Mexico. Academy was approximately 4 months for me because I know how to speak Spanish. So I didn't have to stay for the Spanish part.
And you had the same field training as other officers, is that right?
That is correct.
And the probationary period?
That is correct, except the exception mine, at the time I came in, my probation was 2 years instead of the regular one.
Now I want to talk about January 30th of 2023. Were you on duty on that day?
Correct, I was on duty.
And were you called to 100 Willow Cross Circle in Keno Springs?
Yes, I do not, to be honest with you, I do not know the exact address, but it was a Vermilion Ranch.
Vermilion Mountain Ranch?
Correct.
Do you know the homeowner's name there?
I knew after the incident about Mr. George Allen Kelly.
And that location is in Santa Cruz County?
That is correct.
Can you tell me on January 30th of 2023, before you got this call, what were you doing and where were you located?
I was located somewhere along Highway 82, I think around the area of the Circle K. Just prepping for that day. I was prepping to patrol the east side, Duquesne Road, all that area.
And the Circle K you're referring to, is that the one in Nogales?
The one in Nogales, Arizona by Highway 82.
Okay. And so is that the road that leads out to where Keno Springs is located?
That is correct. Further north should be the road that takes you to Keno Springs.
And so that would be northeast of where you were in Nogales, is that right?
Correct.
So what time were you dispatched to this call?
The call came in at approximately 2:40 p.m.
And when you received the call, what information did you have?
The information that came out through the radio was something to the effect that the owner of the Vermilion Ranch had reported that there were people shooting at him in his property.
And did you respond to the location after you received that dispatch call?
Yes, I did.
And were you in a vehicle by yourself or did you have a partner in your vehicle?
I was in a vehicle by myself.
Do you know how long it took you to get there?
It must have been approximately 15 minutes.
And when you arrived at the location, can you tell me, you said you were dispatched at 2:40, but I'm a little confused about that. Were you dispatched prior to that and arrived at 2:40, or did you get dispatched at 2:40?
I believe I got dispatched approximately 2:40.
And would your report refresh your recollection on that issue?
It would.
I don't know why
I have the
that thing said this.
Yes, ma'am.
Times aren't adding up, y'all. Daniel testified yesterday that Gabriel got shot at 2:30, between 2:30 and 3 p.m. Well, that adds up, somewhere around there. Yeah, that matches. Sorry, my bad. But why didn't they find the body when they searched?
After you got there, were you the first to arrive? Was there anyone else there?
I was the first one to arrive at the scene.
And when you got there, what did you discover when you approached the property?
I got off my vehicle. The front gate of the property was shut or or locked. So I remember jumping the front gate and making my way towards the front of the ranch house.
And when you made your way over to the front door, or to the front of the ranch house, what did you observe when you got there?
When I got there, I observed a lady that was at the door of the ranch house, the front door of the ranch house. I wasn't quite at the front door. I never made it that way, but I talked to the lady. I wanted to make sure she was okay. The lady stated that she was okay. Lady stated that approximately.
Hearsay.
Your Honor, I'm not offering this for the proof of the matter asserted, but for what this officer did next and why he went the direction he did.
Objections are ruled. So I think this is the first time I'm giving something to be called in the law.
I wish they'd mic him.
And that means,
Come on, long crime, get it mic'd.
what the evidence is being admitted for. That the witness is gonna testify.
For the record, get it
The
mic'd.
question was, what did the lady
Sorry, y'all.
say to him? And that is hearsay because this telling is not here in court testimony. But it's not offered, there's an instruction. It's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted. So it's not offered.
Not being offered as the truth of the matter, just for background information, therefore he wants to hearsay him. I can call the woman to testify what she said.
Of the truth about what she's saying. Okay? It's only being offered to explain what this officer did next. All right. So just theoretically, hypothetically, putting this situation aside, hearsay can be admitted. Let's say some other case, some person yells, "There's a fire! There's a fire! There's a fire! It's burning over there." It might not be true at all. It explains why the firemen ran, the police ran to that location and went to that location. Could turn out to be true. Could turn out not to be true. It's not offered to prove that there was a fire, that fire is actually existing. It's offered to prove.
We have captioning, but it's not working.
So for those reasons, with the limited instruction, the objection is. That's, I went a little far on that, but I usually do. That's to explain what a limiting instruction is.
Thank you. Agent Heredia, you said there was a woman, lady at the home, is that right?
That is correct.
Did you
No,
at
they
any
did not
point
get it in.
discover the identity of that lady?
No, I didn't know her name. I didn't know who she was.
No problem. And so you spoke with her. Could you describe her? Do you recall
shall return,
anything
y'all.
about her description?
The clothing, I cannot recollect the clothing. I know she had white hair, elderly looking lady.
Okay, thank you. And so you spoke with this lady, and what was it that she said to you at that point?
Again, I asked if she was okay. She said she was okay. She stated that 15 minutes prior to my arrival, her husband and her, I seen approximately 5 individuals or 5 subjects near the south end of the property that were carrying long arms and bundles of narcotics.
And what did she tell you next?
She said that her husband had taken off after them, and she pointed in this gesture, pointing south. She said that her husband had taken off walking south towards the subjects, I assumed.
Now, you described the area where you hopped the fence, so I'm going to show you a map. This is actually the same marking back. And Your Honor, if it's all right with the court, I'm just going to show the electronic version. Agent Heredia, do you recognize this general map?
Yes, I do.
And what does that appear to be?
That appears to be George Allen Kelly's residence, the ranch.
And Your Honor, the state moves for admission of State's Exhibit 114.
No objections, Your Honor.
114 is admitted.
May I publish, Your Honor? And just for the jury's information, this is actually 114, the slide says 115, just so as not to cause any confusion. And can you tell me, sir, is this the area, can you tell the jury how you approached the residence when you first got there that day?
Okay, I parked at the front gate. Is there a way I can show them here on screen or no?
Yes, if you touch on the upper left, there should be a little stylus. It'll give you a color. There you go. And then you can just touch the screen with the stylus.
That is the front gate that I was referring to. I parked my vehicle right next to that front gate. I got off the vehicle with my service-issued rifle, my M4 rifle, and I hopped the fence, made my way down this road. Sorry. This is a step. All right, sounds good.
And Agent Heredia, before you try to draw on that, sir, I'm gonna make it a little larger.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Is that helpful?
That is.
Are you able to see the gates on the zoomed in copy of, zoomed in
I am.
photograph?
I
Okay,
am.
could you show us then where the gates are?
It should be right around this area.
And that's the area where you parked your car and hopped the gate?
That is correct.
And then where did you approach the house?
I jumped the fence here, walked towards the house this way. I remember at that time, there was a truck parked here. And I make my way here, and I think Mrs. Kelly was right there at her front door.
Okay, and that's where she was when you spoke with her.
That is correct.
What's the next thing you did after you spoke with Mrs. Kelly and she told you that her husband had gone south after the subjects?
Okay, I told Mrs. Kelly to shelter in place. My concern at that time was the armed individuals, and I was by myself. So I went back to my truck to wait for backup. And that's what I did, hopped the fence and then waited for backup at my truck.
Okay, and were you aware that backup was on the way?
Yes, I was aware,
And how did you know that?
because my agent, my partner, Agent Paul Duggan, who was riding a separate vehicle, also acknowledged the traffic.
Did you hear anything at that point?
Once my partner arrived, I could hear sirens in the background, and it turned out to be Santa Cruz County Sheriff officers.
So were they very far behind?
They were several seconds behind my partner.
And then after you heard the officers, after the other officers arrived, what did y'all do?
So we had once I made contact with the Santa Cruz County officers, I told them the information that Mrs. Kelly had given me. And again, our priority was armed individuals. So we made our way back to the house, to the ranch house. So I met with officers there. We made our way back. And then we did like a hasty perimeter check.
And what do you mean by a hasty perimeter
Hasty
check?
perimeter check, we just checked around this area, make sure that everything was okay, there was no armed individuals in the area.
And what was the purpose of doing that?
Again, we're looking for, first of all, the well-being of Mr. Kelly, and make sure that there was no immediate threat to the residents of the house and to us.
did that perimeter check, what did y'all do at that point?
After the quick hasty perimeter check, I don't know the direction where everybody went, but we fanned out. So I just saw like sheriffs going this way, sheriffs going this way. My partner, Paul Duggan, and I believe we went this way. I don't believe we went that way. We went south. In the direction where Miss Kelly had pointed that her husband had taken off to.
And I'd like to show another exhibit. So if we could take this. So I just want to make sure, you said you headed off in the southerly direction, and if I'm clear, that's because of what Mrs. Kelly told you about where Mr. Kelly went, is that correct?
That is correct.
And so I'm going to show you another exhibit. Could you take a look at State's Exhibit 115 on your screen, please?
Yes, ma'am.
And does that appear to be a larger map of the Kelly property?
It is.
Your Honor, move for admission of State's Exhibit 115.
Your Honor, I have no objection. Of course, this exhibit says 114. It would be good if they would cross that off and mark it as 115. It's getting confusing when the numbers aren't the numbers that they're supposed to be.
Exhibit 115 is admitted.
Y'all, I am
Your Honor,
back.
it's not the exhibits that are the issue. The exhibits are properly marked to specify.
I hope you are well.
And could we publish it with the court's permission? And sir, you said you headed out from the house and that you headed south.
Correct.
Do you see a dirt
But I
road
have
on the
no
map?
sound.
Yes, I do.
Did you follow that dirt road or did you
I
go
do.
a
I
different
have no
direction?
sound.
No, I didn't follow the road. I want to use the term bushwhacking. We just went through the brush across that dirt road.
And could you show the jury what direction generally you and your partner traveled?
Yes. So from the house,
What did I miss? What did I miss? Did I miss anything? Sure. I
that is more or less the direction we traveled. We didn't cross the road, like over weeks there, but we didn't. We stayed on the road. That's when we saw Mr. Kelly walking towards us. So when we got to this point,
I'm going to scoot it back, y'all. Sorry about that.
After the other officers arrived, what did you all do?
So we had once I made contact with the Santa Cruz County officers, I told them the information that Mrs.
And she told you that her husband 115, just so as not. And what did she tell you next?
She said that her husband had taken off after them, and she pointed in this gesture, pointing south. She said that her husband had taken off walking south towards the subject's, I assumed.
Now, you described the area where you hopped the fence. I'm going to show you a map.
Lay down.
And you're under our recording to show the electronic version. Agent Heredia, do you recognize this general map?
Yes, I do.
And what does that appear to be?
That appears to be George Allen Kelly's residence damage.
Hey, you need to pull away from the mic, dude.
State moves for admission of State Exhibit 114.
No objection, Your Honor.
14.
May I publish, Your Honor? And just for the jury's information, this is actually 114, the slide is 115, just so as not to cause any confusion. And can you tell me, sir, is this the area, can you tell the jury how you approached the residence when you first got there that day?
Okay, I parked at the front gate. Is there a way I can show them here on screen?
Yes, if you touch on the upper left, there should be a little stylus, it'll give you a color.
I don't know if we're going to get to see this or not, but it would be nice.
Touch the screen.
That is the front gate that I was referring to. I parked my vehicle right next to the front gate. I got off the vehicle with my service issued rifle for rifle, and I hopped the fence. Made
He's
my
way
way
too
down
close
this
to that
road.
mic, y'all. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it. Oh, she's the office tech. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
And Agent Heredia, before you try to draw on that, sir, I'm gonna make it a little larger.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to see the gates on the zoomed in copy of, zoomed in
I
photograph? Okay, could you show us then where the gates are?
It should be right around there.
And that's the area where you parked your car and hopped the gate?
that is correct.
And then where did you approach the house?
I jumped the fence here, walked towards the house this way. I remember that time there was a truck parked here. And I make my way here, and I think Mrs. Kelly was right there at her front door.
Okay, and that's where she was when you spoke with her.
That is correct.
What's the next thing you did after you spoke with Mrs. Kelly and she told you that her husband had gone south after the subject?
Okay, I told Mrs. Kelly to shelter in place. My concern at the time was armed individuals, and I was by myself. So I went back to my truck to wait for backup. And that's what I did. Hopped the fence and then waited for backup at my truck.
Okay, and were you aware that backup was on the way?
Yes, I was aware.
And how did you know that?
Because my agent, my partner agent, Paul Duggan, was riding a separate vehicle, also acknowledged the traffic.
Did you hear anything at that point?
Once my partner arrived, I could hear sirens in the background, and it turned out to be Santa Cruz County Sheriff officers.
So were they very far behind?
They were several seconds behind my partner.
And then after you heard the officers, after the other officers arrived, what did you all do?
So we had once I made contact with the Santa Cruz County officers, I told them the information that Mrs. Kelly had given me. And again, our priority was armed individuals. So we made our way back to the house, to the rental, something like this. So I met with officers there. We made our way back. And then we did like a hasty perimeter check.
And what do you mean by a hasty
A hasty perimeter check, we just checked around this area. Make sure that everything was okay, there was no armed individuals in the area.
And after you, and what was the purpose of doing that?
Again, we're looking for, first of all, the well-being of Mr. Kelly and make sure that there was no immediate threat to the residents of the house and to us.
And after you did that perimeter check, what did y'all do at that point?
After the quick hasty perimeter check, I don't know the direction where everybody went, but we found out. This way. I don't believe we went that way. We went south. In the direction where Miss Kelly had pointed that her husband had taken off.
And I'd like to show another exhibit. So I just want to make sure, you said you headed off in the southerly direction. And if I'm clear, that's because of what Mrs. Kelly told you about where Mr. Kelly went, is that correct?
That's correct.
And so I'm going to show you another exhibit. Could you take a look at State's Exhibit 115 on your screen, please?
Yes, ma'am.
And does that appear to be a larger map of the Kelly property?
It is.
Your Honor, move for admission of State's Exhibit 115.
Your Honor, I have no objection. Of course, this exhibit says 114. It would be good if they would cross that off and mark it as 115. It's getting confusing when the numbers aren't the numbers that are supposed to be.
Exhibit 115 is the
Your Honor, it's not the exhibits that are the issue. The exhibits are properly marked. It's just the slides. And could we publish it with the court's permission? And sir, you said you headed out from the house and that you headed south.
Correct.
Do you see a dirt road on this map?
Yes, I do.
Did you follow that dirt road or did you go a different direction?
No, I didn't follow the road. I'll use the term bushwhacking. We just went through the brush across that dirt road.
And could you show the jury what direction generally you and your partner traveled?
Yes. So from the house, that is more or less the direction we traveled. We didn't cross the road, I overreached there, but we didn't. We stayed on the road. That's when we saw Mr. Kelly walking towards us. So when we got to this point, okay, I'm clear now. Mr. Kelly was walking this way towards us with his two dogs.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. I want to talk about your trip. And I just want to make sure, you said earlier that your partner Dugan was with you, is that right?
That is correct.
So that the two of you were traveling together on this path through the property.
Correct.
And when you traveled through that property, I see that the line you drew looks like you went through a wash. Did you go through a wash or an arroyo?
Yes, we went through a wash, an arroyo.
And when you traveled through that area, did you make any observations of any kind at that point?
No.
Did you see any people or any sign of the traffic?
No, I didn't see any people. I didn't see any.
Were you looking for traffic at that point?
I was just looking for, armed individuals for the safety, but no, I wasn't looking for any particular groups or anything like that.
Okay, so but you didn't see anyone as you were traveling through there?
No, I didn't see any.
And when you approached the road and you saw Mr. Kelly coming, which direction was Mr. Kelly coming? And was he on the road? Was he on the trail, off the road, or where was he?
He was on the road and he was walking that direction, but on the road.
And you said he had his two dogs with him?
He had his two dogs with him, very friendly, came up to greet us, they licked our hands, which is very playful dogs.
And what did you observe about Mr. Kelly as you saw him walking down the road?
When he was walking towards us, he had a rifle cradled on his left arm, kind of like the way hunters cradle their rifles. That's the way he had his rifle.
And I see you making a gesture, but could you show the jury what you mean by that?
Yes. So the rifle he was cradling, he had his arm like this, and the rifle was cradled across his chest.
So across his chest diagonally and over his right shoulder?
Yes.
And holding it with his left arm?
Yes.
Thank you. And when you observed him, after you greeted the dogs, what's the next thing you did?
And Mr. Kelly, I advised Mr. Kelly, I asked him if he was okay. Mr. Kelly said he was okay. And then he stated that I told him that we responded to the area because the call came in that there were people shooting at him in his property. He stated that he had seen around 5 to 7 individuals carrying bundles of narcotics around the ranch house.
Can you pause for a second? Does that accurately reflect the statement you just made?
Yes.
And he told you they were carrying narcotics?
Yes, they were carrying bundles of narcotics, yes.
Did he say anything about seeing any firearms?
No.
And what's the next thing he told you?
He stated that he knew the difference between regular illegal aliens and mules because he had been living in the area for a long time.
And what did he tell you his observations were about these people?
After we kept on walking on the road, and after that, he stated that he had heard a gunshot.
Let me stop you a second. I want to go back to his statements about knowing the difference between whether someone's an immigrant or what was the other phrase he used?
A mules.
Okay, a mule. And when he indicated that he knew the difference between the two, did he tell you what was the difference in his mind?
Well, the mules carry big bundles of marijuana on their backs, big bundles of narcotics.
That's what he told you.
He said bundles of narcotics.
Okay. And so did he tell you how he knew and which he believed they were?
He believed they were mules because of the big bundles, and he had been living in that area for a long time, and he could tell the difference between a regular illegal immigrant and a mule.
And at that point, did he reference large backpacks as well?
Yes.
So does that statement on your screen now accurately reflect what Mr. Kelly told you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And what did he say happened next?
He said that he had heard a gunshot. He had heard
Did he tell you when? Was that before or after he saw these individuals?
after he saw him. After he saw him, he heard a gunshot, and that he did not know where the gunshot came from or who had shot. But he did emphasize that he saw the mules running back south towards the international boundary fence as if they were scared.
And the statement I have on your screen, does that accurately reflect what Mr. Kelly told you?
Yes,
And you said additionally that he didn't know where the shot came from
correct,
or who shot,
correct,
and that they appeared scared?
correct.
And does that accurately reflect what Mr. Kelly told you?
Yes, it does.
Did he tell you anything else at that time?
No,
Did he ever say that he was shot at?
no, he never stated that.
He just said he heard a shot.
Correct.
Did he ever tell you at any point that he saw any weapons?
No, he did not say.
Did he ever mention anyone pointing a weapon at him?
No, he never said that.
Did he ever tell you that he was afraid?
No.
Object leading.
No, he never stated that he was afraid. He didn't look like he was afraid. He was calm. He didn't look nervous to me.
So his demeanor at that point was very calm.
Yes, very respectful, very, very calm.
The weapon he was carrying, did he ever tell you that he discharged that weapon?
No, he never stated that.
That's all I have for this witness. Thank you, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I did have to go back to have him take a look at the time. I forgot to ask him that question. Could I do that? I figured out it's Exhibit 53.
Door. Sorry about that. I know I missed something, but I'll come back and watch it later. I really wish they'd gain up the volume on these microphones. I apologize. Nothing I can do about it from this end. I've got my stuff as up as it possibly can. I'm going to look into some equipment. Right, I shall return.
Have you refreshed your recollection?
Yes,
So was it the time you were dispatched 2:40 or the time you arrived 2:40?
it was the time I was dispatched, the time that the radio call came through.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Yes,
That's all I had, Your Honor. Thank you.
would you like this copy?
You guys have problems with putting back up, your 114? Yeah. Do you mind putting up 114? Yeah, I might as well put the other one. May I proceed, Your Honor? Good morning.
Good morning.
So you are the first law enforcement representative to arrive at this, I'm going to call it for short, the Vermilion Ranch, correct?
Yes,
And had you ever been there before?
not at the ranch house itself, but I've worked that area before.
Okay. So knowing the area, how far is that excuse me, got the hiccups. How far is that location to the border wall? If you were to go as a crow flies, what would you say it was?
About a mile.
A mile? And there's no direct road to it, right? I mean, it's kind of a roundabout way to get there if you were in a vehicle, correct?
To get to the border?
Yes,
That is correct.
okay. So roads aren't like a crow fly, but there's terrain in between Mr. Kelly's house and the first point of the border wall, correct?
Correct.
Now, in this terrain, and it's hard to tell visually when you're not looking perpendicular to the ground, but from the aerial view, we have State's Exhibit 114 still up on the overhead. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Now, this area is encompassed with other ranches around it also, correct?
Correct.
So it's not an easy place to just stumble upon, is it?
No, it's not.
Now, you said you worked this area for quite a bit, is that right?
That is correct.
And you actually expressed your knowledge about this terrain, not only possibly a little bit in your report, but also to Detective Einstein, didn't you?
Excuse me.
So let's talk about this area as it relates to what Mr. Kelly believed is his knowledge as far as it's concerning mules and trafficking. What do you know about it and the dangers of this area?
Objection, improper request for opinion testimony from a lay witness.
Go ahead, sir.
It is what I'm giving you is my personal opinion about the area.
And your knowledge from experience, sir.
It's a dangerous area that we work.
Okay? Elaborate why you believe it's dangerous from your observations and your experiences.
For us, it's a,
Excuse me, can I just show an ongoing objection? Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
for us, it's dangerous because it seems that out there in the desert, everything's out to get you, from the vegetation to the heat, potential, bad individuals. That's what we consider a dangerous area.
So bad individuals, it's not a normal place for someone to go rob a bank, is it?
No,
Okay, so we got a different type of bad individual. What's the activity that you would classify as some examples that would fall under people that are these bad folks that you're describing?
we could potentially run into armed individuals, that are up to no good in that area.
So when someone's armed out there, it wouldn't surprise you if this family saw armed individuals, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what known activities or reasons do you believe, with your experience, would be going on if a person's sitting there armed, especially with long arms?
If there's an armed individual out there, either it could be a hunter or it could be a bad person, usually guarding narcotic loads coming through the area.
Okay. So the fact that Mr. Kelly has lived out there for quite some time, that's what you learned, right?
Correct.
He was acknowledging with you that he was aware of the potential terrain and the potential dangers of his property, right?
Well, he stated that he knew what the subjects that he had seen, he knew that they were mules because he could tell the difference.
And so over the years, there's been migrants, people, just trying to get over the border for the American dream, but there's been illegal activity in this area, and he felt his experience, did you interpret it as, that he felt that he knew the difference. This wasn't just people trying to run over the border.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
The question was how this witness interpreted what Mr. Kelly was telling us in the objection.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, my interpretation from what he said, he stated that he had seen mules, not illegal aliens.
And the fact that he's been there long enough and acknowledged that, you had no reason to disbelieve that he believed that to be happening, correct?
Correct.
Okay, because it was reasonable, correct?
It was
Your Honor,
reasonable.
again, calls for speculation.
What he feels.
What was the objection?
Speculation.
What was the question?
I asked if he believed it was reasonable. Asked for this witness to believe.
Objection.
I believe it was reasonable.
Thank you, sir. Now, you knew you were there because shots were fired, right?
That's what the call came through, that shots were fired in the air.
So therefore, there had to be guns if that statement was true, correct?
Correct.
And the fact that you first interchanged with Mrs. Kelly, or the
Sorry about that.
gray-headed senior woman, confirmed independently, now that you're looking in hindsight, confirmed that that call was a potentially legit call, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And she was a nice lady, wasn't she?
She was.
And you had no reason to believe that she was lying to you?
I didn't.
Did you learn that she was only in the house?
I only saw her in the house. I didn't know who else was in the house.
So you, yeah, I didn't ask that, but did you learn that that's all she never came outside? That the whole time she's been in the house, did you learn that?
No, my first initial encounter was her at the door.
Okay.
From our house.
But she greeted you at the door as you walked up, did you not, or was she peeking out the glass door?
No, she was already out when I got there, and I never made it to the front entrance. I never made it.
She was
to the door.
watching for him.
Okay. Now, they do have glass doors, are you aware of that?
No,
Okay. And they have a lot of glass windows, are you aware of that?
not aware of it.
Just what you know, sir. Just what
She was
you know.
waiting for him,
Just
looking out the
checking to see
window
what
like
you know.
Not aware.
wives would.
Okay. Now, did she, so she didn't make it clear where she saw these people running, correct?
She just stayed at the south end of her property.
Okay, so you don't know whether she, with that comment, you don't know if she observed it from within her house or outside the house,
I
right?
have no idea.
He did not ask.
Now, when things were over, the extreme situation was over, you made a note that, Alan Kelly followed or ran after, what was the words that you used?
She stated that she pointed south, a gesture like I'm doing, stating that Mr. Allen had taken after the direction of the subjects walking.
Okay. Now, so he was walking, and you don't know if Mrs. Kelly, or the person that was in the home, and Mr. Kelly, which you later met, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You don't even know if they had any communications since this event took place.
No, I did not know that.
Okay. So, if her version of it could be from what she observed, correct?
Correct.
That she knew he was walking in the direction south
Correct.
with the two dogs.
She never stated anything about dogs.
Okay, you saw the dogs.
When I met with Mr. Kelly, yes, when I saw him first.
And those dogs followed him everywhere, didn't they?
Yes, they were following him.
But they're very curious dogs, aren't they?
They are.
And they are, they are almost true to their breed, but always looking around, smelling out everything, curious about the terrain as you all are walking, correct?
Yes, they were kind of like running circles around him, playfully.
But they were interested also in the terrain. Did you notice? Almost like a hunting technique. They're smelling and observing everything on the ground and anything around them.
I did not notice that.
Okay. But inquisitive. They were curious about you,
Yes, they were.
and they approached you to see who you were.
They did.
And you didn't call.
No, I did not call.
And how many dogs were there?
2 dogs.
Now, looking at this exhibit that's posted on there, put down, redraw the line that you took once you left the house to go start to search around.
Once I left the initial house after we did a hasty perimeter check, is that what you mean?
You got back up. Went back to the house. So let's start with that perimeter check. And that's for your safety and the homeowner's safety, correct?
Correct.
All right. So put that circle around the house as you did before. Okay, now, would it be that wide of it or closer to the home?
I think that would be reasonable.
Okay, you were aware of the barbed wire fencing that exists in the back of the house?
I believe I did see the barbed wire fence, but I'm not entirely aware of where it is because I've never been to that ranch house. I worked around the area of the
And
ranches.
you didn't personally work the field that is behind the house that everyone else searched, correct?
No, Agent Paul Duggan and I, we kind of stayed around this area. We never went here or this area.
You drew some lines before, I'd like you to put them back on, of the search outward while you guys went the other way and ultimately met Mr. Kelly.
So as we were walking down towards Mr. Kelly, from my observations,
Why don't you use a different color on that one?
I will, let me,
You can hit undo.
One of the jurors has asked for the large picture a little bit.
I have no objection. Does that help?
Can you move it off? Move it to the, where everything happened.
Let's undo your markings.
will do.
How is that?
All right, so let's start with the perimeter. We've cleared the board. Since we blew it up, it changes your markings. Now, ultimately, while this is blowing up, are you able to show where your car was parked at this point?
Yes,
Okay. Now, if you notice, there's also colors that you could change,
If
okay?
if you bring that house a little bit south, because the gate is way up top, I think that's better.
Could you show that?
Okay, I'm gonna show it in one color and then I'll switch colors.
All right,
That's where my vehicle was parked.
okay. The direction you took that ultimately you found Mr. Kelly would be the opposite way of the vehicle or the same direction?
Opposite way of the vehicle, south.
And if I could ask the state now to move the screen to just where that dot is at the top, so we can go down. And we're still.
I'm gonna clear the dot again.
Okay, all right. That's right there. Go ahead and put your dot on there. Thank you. All right. Now, you went down, you greeted Miss Kelly, you went back, you got some backup, and then you came back into the property, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, you had some lines, well, first of all, the perimeter search of the house. Let's go ahead and draw that. You could use, let's just use one other color for the searches.
Switch colors for the searches. So that's a kind of hasty perimeter check approximate.
Okay. Now, earlier, when the state was asking you questions, you started to show which way you went, and we could keep that. And you were part of this circle, right? I mean, you were searching the perimeter too.
I never made it to the eastern side of the house. I kind of like stayed on this southwestern part of the house. I never went with the sheriffs all the way around.
Okay.
Just help this side of the house there.
All right. Let's take the direction that you think you were heading to get to the barn. We're going to look at the barn later, but set us off into a direction.
If I'm not mistaken, it was kind of like in this direction. That we bushwhacked.
Okay. And you described what bushwhack was. You're not following the roads. You're crossing the terrain.
That is correct.
Now, while you're heading that way, show me those lines that you had that showed other officers checking out in another direction in the field.
Okay, and just to know, these are approximate.
We get that.
Yes. Okay. That's approximately the way I saw
Okay.
the officers branching out.
And you're not reflecting these lines as the number of officers, right?
That is correct.
Do you even know how many we're searching?
Approximately, from what I can remember, approximately 7, I would like to say.
All right, so there were quite a bit of officers.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you, just in between each of the lines, with the same magenta color, whatever that is, just put some dots in between to reflect other people being there. Other officers. And were they a combination of Border Patrol and Sheriff's Department?
No, just Sheriff's Department. The only Border Patrol agents at that time was Agent Paul Duggan and myself.
Okay, so the two of you are gone to look for the homeowner.
Correct.
Okay, so with a yellow, different color, yellow would be great. There is an arroyo out here, and you had to cross through it if you bushwhacked this direction, correct?
Yes,
Did you follow it, or did you just cut through it?
cut through it.
Okay, so why don't you just kind of, like as if it was a highlighter, give us an idea of where this arroyo encompasses this side of the house.
The arroyo should be a little bit south, you know, south of like at the end of that white line. That's where the arroyo should be,
So further down,
further down, correct.
I didn't mean to do that. Let me undo it. Which one's that? Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry. If we could just zoom out just to drop or move the map up just to drop, please. Stay. Kim,
I'm sorry.
can you move it now up just to drop? No, can't do that. Can you, if you zoom out, would it change your lines? Do you see an arroyo in this photo right here?
Yes, I see the arroyo at the southern end of the white line.
Okay, so I know we came off our drawing, but if you could just take a yellow and try to show where that is.
I'm gonna put a circle around.
Well, try to follow it a little bit, and maybe a circle at the other end that you think it's, which direction it goes in.
That's the arroyo, and the arroyo runs kind of like this way.
Okay, and it continues up through the right side of the map, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And arroyo is a ditch, a ravine, correct?
Arroyo is the Mexican word for wash.
Okay. Commonly formed through waterways, right?
Correct.
And commonly maintaining different elevation than ground level
Yes,
because of erosion, correct?
yes,
And most commonly, and specifically here, this ditch or wash is lower than the ground level that the house is sitting on, correct?
it is.
Yes. And its deepness depends on where you are in the arroyo, right?
Yes,
So we got lower elevation running up, and you can see this. And then if we could now go to the next slide that you'll use, which I think was 115, please, Kim. Thank you.
You can use these.
Okay.
would you like me to clear the lines on my end?
Yes, please. Now, let's put a small circle around the house. And if you were to follow the yellow brick road, it is kind of yellow, that is a pathway or a place where one could walk on.
Sorry, I'm back. I found money.
Correct?
That is correct.
And did you have a chance to observe this as Mr. Kelly's barn?
Yes, when we were up top, when we were in Mr. Kelly, you get overlooked that.
Because you're at, I apologize.
Yes,
You are at a higher elevation where you greeted Mr. Kelly, correct?
that is correct.
But if you follow that road down with your eyes, you would see the barn and the pump house, correct?
Yes, the pump house is up top, and the barn or the steel warehouse should be down there.
Okay, if you could circle that, please. Both of them, yes, thank you.
That is the pump house,
Yes, sir.
and that is the steel building, the barn.
Okay. So the fact is, when you not caught, but came together with Mr. Kelly, put a little X with a different color where you observe, approximately, where you observe Mr. Kelly with his two dogs. So real close to his pump house.
Real close to that pump house, correct?
And you don't know where he was coming from. Was he approaching you though?
He was walking in the direction we came up, yes, on the road.
So far as you know, he could have been checking on his barn to make sure everything was safe.
Correct.
Okay. And did he reflect that?
No, he never stated he was checking on his farm.
Okay, but you didn't ask, correct?
No, I did not ask.
All right. And people you encounter are only as good as to the questions you might ask, correct? As far as gathering information.
Yes,
You've been trained to ask good questions, to try to learn facts.
Correct.
And so if you don't ask him a question, he may not know to give you a answer, right?
Correct.
It's fair. Now, I mean, you are the trained one, and I would assume that victims, as Mr. Kelly was that day, are not necessarily victims every day to know what you might be looking for, right?
Right.
Now, just to give you some information, I know you were doing your best to reflect how he was holding this gun, and I get the cradling, but did you know Mr. Kelly is left-handed and that rifle might have been flip-flop from the direction that you said?
I had no idea.
Okay,
He's
but you
left-handed.
just saw the cradling,
Correct.
okay? And you don't know, and you know the barrel is pointing up in the sky,
Yes.
okay? Whether it's this way to the left or this way to the right, I'm using my hands, and that's for the court reporter. The point was, he was holding it in a very safety-minded way, correct?
That is correct. Kind of like hunters do.
Right. And a good hunter doesn't point, or anyone that uses a gun will never just swing their barrels around and point it at people, correct?
Oh no, otherwise we would have had a problem.
Yes, you would have been threatened, felt threatened, and acted accordingly, correct?
Yes.
You did not feel threatened?
No.
Okay. So it was a very respectful carry on his own property, correct?
Yes.
Anything illegal about that?
No.
Okay. This property is outside the city limits, I would assume. Sheriffs
Yes.
responded,
Yes.
correct? All right. We do have a Nogales Police Department, correct?
We do have a Nogales Police Department.
Yeah, and they did not come to the scene at all, correct?
They weren't there when I was there.
Okay, so it's probably a jurisdiction thing, correct?
Correct.
And so sheriffs usually cover the county, the outside areas. Is that fair to say?
That is
Fair
fair
enough?
to say.
Okay. So he's walking up calmer now that everything seems safe, that he sees law enforcement. Is that possible?
That is possible.
Okay? Because I would feel safer if you were next to me. You look like you could protect me. Is that reasonable?
That is reasonable.
Okay. And there's two of you now. He now knows law enforcement is at his home, his homestead, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. In the border, this is the south direction. The house to the barn is the southern direction.
More or less, yes, general southern direction.
Not perfect, right?
Not perfect.
And then to the right and to the right south, you could glance down yonder, so to speak, and see the border wall, correct?
Correct.
It would be off to the distance, though, right?
Yes, sir.
A good ways away, but you could see it.
Correct.
Now, when you were going back to why people in this area, potentially illegal immigrants that are crossing through his property or anyone else's property would likely to have guns, they're guarding, what are they
Sorry
guarding
about that, y'all. I don't know
from?
what happened.
What are the different things?
They could be guarding, if they're carrying narcotics, they could be guarding the narcotics.
From Border Patrol?
No,
From whom?
from, we call them rip crews. Rip crews are people that steal the narcotics from other mules.
Okay, so this does exist.
It does exist.
Now, would someone carrying illegal, this is with your personal knowledge, sir, okay, and your training. Would someone that's illegally carrying a narcotic, smuggling a narcotic, like, would they try to hide as they're crossing the border to get to a location?
Yes,
I mean, they're not going to say, here I am, right?
of course not.
It's an illegal activity. You're being discreet.
Correct.
Why would someone like that have a walkie-talkie on them?
I imagine so they could coordinate, picking up the drugs or the routes they're taking.
Okay? So not only to find the person they're distributing to, potentially, but also could there be others watching out for any border patrol?
Yes.
And although you all have cameras as a group, correct? Surveillance cameras I'm referring to out there. They're not a perfect system, are they?
Nothing's a perfect system.
And it's hard to track people going through these auroras, right?
There are arroyos. It would be hard, yes.
Okay, because they're lower.
Correct.
And the cameras, I would imagine you gotta, have you ever seen the camera system?
I've seen the camera system.
Okay, and do they have the ability to zoom around and look around?
I can't discuss operational.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not that interested. Were you at the scene when there was another call later on in the afternoon?
Was I at Mr. Kelly's? No, I was not.
Okay, so this is the only incident that you went to.
That is correct.
Are you familiar with the word Duquesne Road?
Yes, I am.
And is it a common area for drug pickups?
We've had some drug pickups there in that area, yes.
Okay, why else do you know about that location?
I patrol that area in the past.
Is Washington, the word Washington was used in this hearing, is it related to that area at all?
Yeah, Mount Washington is the big mountain east of Duquesne Road.
Okay, and if a person was in that area, carrying backpacks and long arms and stuff like that, would that be suspicious to you?
Yes, it would.
You said there's a mountain there. Is that something that allows people, does that allow people to help look out the terrain around it?
Yes.
And so walkie-talkie communication could be done that way too, correct?
Correct.
And would it be common for anyone that might be doing this type of activity to have binoculars on?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay. And I'd like to show you. We'll let her get it up a second here. I'll move on with another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just how far, do you have any idea how far Duquesne Road or Mount Washington or that area would be to Mr. Kelly's house?
I want to say anywhere from 3 to 4 miles.
Okay. So with time, it's walkable. I mean, someone could walk that distance.
Yes. Would you like me to hear the circles?
I just hold on. At this time, I would like to republish what's already marked in evidence JJ. Defense JJ. For all to see. And we will, you can get rid of those lines.
I'm sorry.
You're doing good. Okay. This is a photo that's already been admitted into evidence, and we're not asking you anything specific about the person. My questions are reflected upon the clothing, okay? And there is a walkie-talkie on the right hip there, a pair of binoculars and a fanny pack and camouflage coloring of clothing. Would this be, could this be run along the theory that this person could be someone that might be either a scout or trafficking drugs? Would this appearance surprise you?
Being honest and looking at the photo, to me it could be a scout, or to me it could be a hunter.
Okay. Now, of course, you don't see a rifle. You don't see any guns in this photo. And you don't know when this took place, this photo. But the camouflage and if this person was on private property, would that be appropriate place to hunt?
It would not be an appropriate place to hunt.
Okay. And does a person like this that may be set out, I don't know, let's say out in the terrain, way far out there, would a person wearing these type of clothes blend into the terrain?
He could blend into the terrain, yes.
Okay. I mean, obviously, if you're in front of someone, you're going to see it, right?
Correct.
But what if they were more than I don't know, a half a mile out? Would it be harder to tell this person's there?
That is correct.
And that makes your job harder also, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Just a minute, Your Honor. What was the lady in the house's demeanor? Could you tell?
The lady was calm as well, not agitated. She appeared to be safe. She didn't look hurt or injured.
Did she seem concerned?
I would call it a little concern, yes, especially pointing a direction where her husband had taken off to.
And you got information somewhere in this case where you, and did this come from Mr. Kelly, that he heard a shot after he saw them?
Yes,
So we knew there was gunfire, correct?
I never heard the gunfire, but that's what the call came as, and that's what Mr. Kelly stated.
Okay, so we knew, based on your information, there was a gunshot based on the facts.
Based on what they told me, I
Right.
assumed there had been,
I get it, you're not an eyewitness.
Correct.
Right? Okay, you're a responder, I get
Correct.
that.
Mhm.
But taking the facts that someone called in, there were shots, and confirmed by two different people, there's no reason to doubt it, was there?
No,
So we have one shot, because he said he heard a shot,
that
right?
is correct.
So a shot usually reflects singular, correct?
Single gunshot.
Not a few, not a lot, but heard, or shots, plural, but a shot,
A
correct?
shot, correct, a gunshot.
And were you aware there was one shot in the victim's body that was found later? Did you learn that?
I do not know anything about it.
I asked if you learned it.
I'm not aware. I haven't learned anything.
Okay, thank you. So when you said that he never said he discharged, did you ask him?
No, I didn't ask.
When you talked
I'm back,
about,
y'all. Sorry. It's been a busy day
the
today.
shot versus, didn't know where the
Usually
shot
I
was.
do a
It was
lot of
close enough for them to
looking
be
and a lot of
be-
back
to
office
be
work
real,
today.
correct?
Correct, but if they didn't, they heard it, yeah, must have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a shot off at the distance. We don't call about that, right? We don't know if it's hunting or other things, right?
That's just correct.
You could be a rancher that's all rattlesnake 2 miles away and you hear that echo.
True,
That's
true.
not concerning, is it?
It could be, it could be nothing. It didn't.
Yeah, it's not out in the ranches, right? I mean, it's not like it's a residential suburbia area.
Again, like, I can't be speculating to that, but yeah, could be good or it could be bad.
Houses are nowhere near, they're not butting up to this, property or this home, is it?
No.
There's a lot of land all around, right?
Yes,
And, are you aware that Mr. Kelly owns over 100 acres?
no, I'm not aware of it.
But if you look around, it's hard to see, you can't even see houses, really, for that matter, can you?
Not really.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Haynes.
But
I'm sorry I
whatever the
had to
shot
step away.
was concerning, and seeing people running by with backpacks and rifles means it had to be visual, had to be close enough to see it, right?
Correct.
He can answer it.
And he did. The answer was right, correct?
Correct.
Okay. if people were out in the train mile away, wearing the type of clothing you just saw in the photo, that would be very difficult in this terrain to see, wouldn't it be?
Correct.
But if something's real close, that you can get a feel that 5 to 7 people, or whatever amount of people running by, that means these people had to be close enough
Always hungry.
to observe, correct?
Correct.
And depending where the homeowners were, that would be able to be considered on what distance from that location they were, correct?
Correct.
Okay, because you don't know if they were in the house or outside. You don't have that info.
I do not.
Okay. So people that appear to be illegals from their attire, some running and shooting on their property, and trespassing are all crimes, correct?
Yes.
And doesn't that make Mr. Kelly and his wife potentially a victim?
Yes.
Potentially, yes.
Also, I think it's a good time to take our board recess. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 30-minute recess. It's 20 to 10. We'll be back in court. Please be.
Okay, guys, this is going to give us time to catch up for a hot minute. This is kind of a busy day for me today, and so I may be in and out for a hot minute. Mr. Talon, thank you for joining me so much. I wished you could have hopped back on. I love your insights and comments, Mr. Talon. I'm going to see if I can. See if I can't locate. I don't know this is you or not, Mr. Talon. Profile. I don't know. Y'all, I have got my puppers down here. Come here, puppers. Come on. Come around. Good girl. You want to up so everyone can say hi? Up. Sensei. Come here. Up. Come on. Up. No. Up. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. There you. Oh, come here, puppers. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see her. She's too low. She says, I don't want to get up here, Mama. Oh, that's a good girl. Hi, that's a good girl. This is my puppers. You get to see nose. Okay. She's being a little lazy butt right now. She's being a little lazy girl right now. Lay down. I even got you a pillow. Yeah, well, I need to scoot my chair up a little more. There we go. So I don't see anything major right now with the evidence. I was hopping in and out, so I may have missed something. I don't know. We shall see. It is 11:52 here. There it is. Basically 12 o'clock here, so it's 10 o'clock there. They will take their break for lunch approximately 2 o'clock our time, which is good because I have a meeting at 2 o'clock I need to get to. I am going to remove that since they don't have their proper channel up and running. I don't know why. I don't know anything really today to say. It is a very dangerous area. I don't think it was. I've got to move the pillow so Pupper has more room. I don't think it was anywhere near as dangerous years ago when they bought the land 20 years ago that it is now. I would assume it's gotten much, much worse. So, let's see. To start, I'm going to go ahead and see where we are on. Oh, sorry, my neck had to pop. It felt good.
I'm going to put me big. I got something popping up here on the news. I've been trying to keep an eye on the situation with that barge. And don't have anything new news on that. Let me get my screen big again. Let me do this. I am going to minimize this. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to go to his ranch photo so we can go over that again. Because I think it's, for those of you who are just joining us, it's important for you to see some of the ranch photos. I'm going to go ahead and share this screen. This is a picture of, I wish I could make this, I can make this bigger, can I? Yes. This is a picture of his ranch. Looks like a nice place. I guess that's where the horses were kept. This is the important picture, and I cannot make it bigger. 100 Willow Cross Circle is where the house is. If you go right here, this dotted line is the border. Where this dot is, and I've got my cursor, is I believe the end of the wall. And this is where the witness yesterday stated that he ran to the end of the wall to go across. I wish we can get a bigger shot of that. Here's a bigger shot of the home. You can see there's a fence here. There's a driveway here. There's, of course, that fence there. Now, I didn't know about that fence. So that even makes it okay. Let's see. That is not it. Okay, we're getting into other stuff. Let me get back. This is a good picture. So you come into the ranch behind the photo. Here's the garage. There's a wall that runs around the front of the property that's waist high. It is like a rock wall that's got stucco. I think he has a pergola. He has, back here, he has some smokers back here. You see this road here kind of follows through. Follow my marker all the way back there. You can see little building here and a little building here. This line that you see at the end right of this point is the Mexican border. There's your wall. So the shooting, if I'm not mistaken, happened about this area right here. Now, the witness yesterday was stating that, and he got very confused, was from the house to where the guy got shot was, I think he said 50 feet? Actually, I'm going to do 49 feet in kilometers. Meters. 14 meters. So, yeah. He said it was about 10 to 15 meters. Well, that's 32 to 50 feet. 10 to 15 meters from the house. So that would be right about there. Anywhere in this area here that he's saying the person got shot. And he said he wasn't good with numbers and distance and that. But yet he does carpentry work and he's a masonry. He's got to have that basic down. Then he said from where the victim was shot, which would be out here, right here, if it's by his math, then it's 2 football link fields to the border. There's 17.6 football fields in a mile. From this house, straight line is approximately a mile. If you go on an angle over here off the screen to the corner where my cursor is, the end of the wall, didn't mean to do that. The end of the wall ends somewhere over here where my cursor is. So it's about a mile and a half. We'll just call it a mile and a quarter. You're looking at 17 to 20 football fields. And I know this was taken during the time that they had greenery, but it was in December when January 30th when this had happened. I'm trying to find this is more like the vegetation that would have been what you're seeing here. This is the victim. See how this vegetation here? I can guarantee you. And here's the thing that bothers me. Look at all the trash this poor man has to live with. But if you notice all the trees don't have much on them during that time of year, but the grass is a little high. My question is this. Let me make sure they're not back live. My question is this. I have been on ranch property. There is no way. The guy says he saw at least 2 football field lengths away. He saw a man in a gray shirt standing where the body was or where he ran from. Keep leaning and I shouldn't. Where he ran from 2 football field lengths away. I can tell you this right here, from this tree to this to right here, maybe almost a football, almost. So that means he's way back in the trees. There's no way he could have seen that. Not with the tree and the coverage. I'm looking for pictures. These are pictures of his ranch. No trespassing. I'm trying to get, okay, we're going off on something else. So let me see. I was trying to find pictures of the ranch, drone pictures. Let me put drone. Drone photos of his ranch, and we're not getting it. Nope. I was hoping to get the drone footage of his ranch. Okay, we'll have to try and find that another way. But I just want you guys to understand there's a lot going on. I'm going to look back at some of the comments. Breaks my heart. I don't know what to think about this case. Poor kiddo. He wasn't a kiddo. If you realize if they come through your fence, they've already broken the law. Well, let me explain a little further. They were Nicaraguans. They did not have any citizenship in Mexico at all. Let me just do this. They had 0 citizenship in Mexico. Their citizenship is in Nicaragua. And so they have fake IDs staying in Mexico. Now, the guy said, Daniel, the man who testified yesterday, stated that when he got into Mexico, they gave him an ID. Well, I'm going to be very, very, very negative and say, I bet you that either the person who was in charge of the human trafficking or the drug trafficking gave him the ID. But he did not want to say who. The last name on the ID was different than his last name, but even when he did his depositions and gave testimony in this case under oath, he used the name on the Mexican ID, which is not his real name. His first and middle name was correct, but not the last. So he's in Mexico illegally. Now he's coming into the U.S. illegally 10 times. And then Mexico's going to deport him. I am sure of it. Oh, wow. It's getting spicy. Wow. I'm not going to get in the middle of this. But it's not my comment page, so I'm not going to do anything. So the thing for me is that I haven't seen anything that points to him being guilty at this point. Yeah. I'm looking. We did get caught up. I am having a problem, and if everybody knows how to do this, nobody knows how to fix this, let me know. But at the end of this, stream, if I'm not with it exactly, if I'm a minute or two behind, it cuts off at the end of the day. And I'm like, I need help. It's driving me crazy. What did I achieve? Woohoo. Oh, I got some subscribers. Y'all, thank you so very much. Oh my gosh, y'all are awesome. Thank you. I got some subscribers. Yay, I love you. Appreciate everybody who subscribes. I wish I had a witness list. I wish I knew. Oh, I know what we can do. Let's go see what motions or what was filed in the courthouse today. Let's go here. We go here. I can go to the Arizona page. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to put that back up. I talk out loud through all this, y'all. Sorry. Just saying. Close that out. Let's bring this up. Arizona versus George Kelly. Okay, we can watch, just FYI, you can watch the entire court case. Yesterday's hearing. So you can watch a day behind. You get all 4 cameras. So we may do that if I have to miss a day, because this is going to go on for a while. Minute entry. Let me see what the minutes state. In the matter of property before the courts of the trial on jury, Deputy County Attorney Mike Jette Esquire, Kimberly Henley Esquire is representing. Addressed a question by jurors. State raised a concern about the witness victim DRR's appearance to be published to the public. The court takes a brief recess to consider the matter. Upon pondering the matter, the court determines that he needs an assignment of security issue, thus questioning the state regarding the issue. The court finds that the witness has not received threats or security risks. Further finds that the proceedings in this interest of the public. It is therefore ordered of the court that the request to obscure the witness's image is denied. The record shall reflect the presence of the jury panel. The court addressed the question posed by the jurors. 8:56 a.m. Daniel Alberto Ramirez Valerias was sworn in. They list the exhibits. 9:58, it stood in recess for morning break. All parties present. Daniel Alberto Ramirez Varela stood under oath again at 11:39. Took a lunch break. Court took an afternoon break at 3:11. Daniel Albert Ramirez Varela stood under oath again. Court starts up at 8:30 in the morning. No further issues. Closed for the day. It was a pretty quiet day yesterday, although got a little hot and spicy at the end. But I'm so excited. I found the court records. I never do that. I am so lucky. Okay, court coming back. Here we go. Play. We don't have volume, court. I didn't turn off your volume. You turned off your volume. We need volume, Your Honor. My volume's set up at 100%. Where's yours? We're going to check my volume. We're going to scroll back to a different point in time.
Seeing around 5
Okay,
to
my
6.
volume's fine. I wish we knew what he was saying, and closed captioning does not appear to be working. It was a hot mess yesterday. Anything in Spanish was weird. I told people, please
In
go
that
up.
witnesses field of expertise, and they also state reasons for those things. So,
He's
here's
instructing
an
the
expert
jury.
witness, right? You're thinking some guy with a PhD in front of his name. It could be, but you don't need a PhD in front of your name to be an expert witness. If you have education or experience sufficient to be able to state an opinion with some expertise on an issue, then you can be an expert witness. Just by way of an example, there's actually cases reported with things like, some 10-year-old kid being brought into court and testifying as a witness on butterflies in the area. Well, how is that possible? It's a 10-year-old kid. This kid had an amazing butterfly collection. That's all he did. He was just obsessed with butterflies. He had a butterfly collection. There was issuing the case about butterflies in the area for whatever reason. He was qualified as an expert. There was no greater expert about butterflies in this particular area than this kid. 10-year-old, no PhD, but not by education, maybe somewhat by education, but by experience, he was an expert. So, and then going back to the instruction, it finishes as follows, and this is important also. But expert opinion testimony should be judged just as any other testimony. You are not bound by it. You may accept it or reject it in whole or in part, and you should give it as much credibility and weight as you think it deserves, considering the witnesses' qualifications and experience, the reasons given for the opinions, and all the other evidence in the case. All right? So that was one of your preliminary instructions. And again, you'll get a set of final instructions that will include an instruction about this as well. But I just thought I'd refresh your recollections about that now. This is no comment by me about this witness's testimony or any other witness's testimony that's given an opinion. Right? I express no opinion about that. I just thought it was an appropriate time to remind you of that particular instruction. Thank you. All right, Ms. Lothar, I think you were continuing the cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Let's go back to a couple points that were discussed and get a little more clarity. The first one, you talked about his demeanor about being calm at the time you met up with Mr. Kelly, correct?
Correct.
So knowing the incident, the call, and the fact that he mentioned shots were fired, it seems that as a judge of you're a police officer, have to observe things, correct?
I'm a border patrol agent, correct. I have to assure things.
And I didn't mean to insult you. But law enforcement, in law enforcement, you are a law enforcement officer, right?
Correct.
You have a specialty area of the field. But as a law enforcement officer, it's important to observe people, body language, other things that's going around you, correct?
Correct.
So going back to the compound question, I apologize for that. Knowing the things you learned on the call, the follow-up that you got from Ms. Kelly and Mr. Kelly, or whoever the white-haired lady was, the fact that he appeared calm now takes some urgency that the threat might have subsided to some degree?
Correct.
Okay. That would be your interpretation, right?
Correct.
The fact that the gun was lowered, not raised up in any kind of assaultive handling of the rifle, also shows his relaxed state of mind.
Correct.
And I mean, he wasn't being nervous.
Can I correct
Yes.
myself about the state of mind? I wouldn't know anything about the state of mind, but his demeanor seemed to appeared relaxed to me.
Okay. And we could use the word demeanor. His demeanor did not seem nervous at this time.
It did not.
Like if you shot someone and was scared about it, you would expect someone to be nervous, right?
In my opinion, I would expect somebody to be nervous, shaken up, visibly upset.
Now, you mentioned those officers, a good handful of officers. I don't think you counted them, but you reflected it being how many, around 7, 8?
Approximately 7.
Okay. And we won't hold you exactly because I don't think you were necessarily responsible for that area of the search, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, but you observed quite a few, a good handful or more of law enforcement, which you believe were sheriffs, correct?
Correct.
Combing out a area or a field that we saw you draw lines out, correct?
Correct.
And they were spread out like a search should be conducted, right?
Correct.
And you learned how to do those kind of searches, right?
Correct.
And so you spread out so many feet apart, that way, and you proceed forward, so that way you could all cover as much area, but be as thorough as possible, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever learn later that that area that the search you observed was the same area that a body was found?
I learned that a body was found. I do not know the exact location, how he was found, or who found it.
So you never heard it was the same area that law enforcement combed over? You never heard that?
Well, it was a general area, but yeah, that's what I heard, general area.
I know that even though you didn't respond later, a lot of times there's a lot of communications because you were involved in this case. You had a part of this case, correct?
Correct.
Now, there was mention of running these subjects, running by or with backpacks and long arms, right?
Correct.
So I know you don't know exactly where everyone is when they observed it, and I heard that. But if these subjects were running, something was causing them to run, most likely, correct?
Most likely, yes.
I mean, unless you just like to run with all that heavy equipment.
Just had a visitor, y'all.
Guns, things that might have been on the person. Running away from something is not uncommon, correct?
Can you rephrase that question?
It's very well likely that this group that was running could have been running away from something.
That is correct.
I will pass the witness.
So let's start back to the area that y'all searched. Now, you talked about doing originally doing just a little perimeter search, is that right?
That's correct.
And then after that perimeter search, all split up, correct?
Correct. We all panned out in different directions.
And you all headed south, is that right?
Correct.
And when you headed south, were you observing where the sheriff's department officers went?
Not precisely. I had a general idea. They were to my east for situational awareness purposes and safety, but not exactly where they were.
So you know they headed east, but you don't know specifically where.
I do not.
So if we wanted to know where the sheriff's department officers searched, we have to ask them, is that fair?
That is fair.
Now, I want to break it down a little bit on the timing, because I think you corrected me that you got dispatched at 2:40, is that right?
That is correct. That's when the call came through.
And I thought that's the time that you arrived, but that's the time you were actually dispatched.
Correct.
So if this call actually initially came in at 2:30, it would have been 10 minutes later before y'all were dispatched.
Correct.
And then you said it took you 15 minutes to get there.
Approximately.
And so that would put you there about 2:55?
Correct.
And then you waited there for the other officers to get there. How long do you think you waited?
Y'all, I'll be right
I went
back.
to
I
the
got a
front of the
beloved
house
friend that
and
came to see me. I'll leave this running. Be right back.
7 to 10 minutes, possibly.
So we're talking a little bit after 3, is that right?
Yes.
So a little after 3, then you all get there and you do that initial perimeter search. How long do you think that initial perimeter search took you?
Approximately 10 minutes.
So now we're talking about 3:10, is that fair?
That's fair.
And then when you finished that initial perimeter search, you all headed south.
Correct.
And how far do you think you hiked south of the house?
I would like to say about a quarter of a mile,
How long
Yes.
do you think that took you?
about 10, 15 minutes, possibly.
So now we're talking 3:20, 3:25, is that right?
That is correct.
So that would have been almost an hour after the original call that you finally found Mr. Kelly.
Correct.
Now, you said you thought there were 7 sheriff's department officers. Do you know that for certain, or is that a guess on your part?
That is a guess on my part, that's approximately.
So if the officers say there were a different number of them, would you dispute that?
I would not.
So the defense is asking you to speculate about what the defendant may or may not have done an hour before you made contact with him. Is that what your understanding was of their question? About what was causing his demeanor at that time?
Correct.
And it's been an hour. Is there any way that you can know what caused Mr. Kelly to be calm at the time that you observed him?
Of course not, no.
The defense also asked you to speculate whether Mr. Kelly's response to this incident would have been reasonable or not. Is that what your understanding is of what they asked you?
Yes.
What that is based on is entirely on what Mr. and Mrs. Kelly said to you, though. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you wouldn't know whether this is reasonable or not unless you actually observed what happened, correct?
Well, correct.
Now, the judge has asked you to, allowed you to testify to some issues on expert testimony. And so I want to ask you a few things about your specific expertise.
Correct.
Now, in the years leading up to this arrest and to this incident in January of 2023, can you tell me how long it had been since you had a narcotics arrest in the Keno Springs area?
Narcotics arrest, at least approximately 2 years before the incident. It's probably the last time I had a narcotics seizure in that area.
And the defense, what are the majority of the arrests in that area?
In those 2 years prior to the incident, mostly just regular groups of illegal migrants.
When you arrest migrants, do they have weapons generally?
Generally, they do not.
Can you tell me the last time you saw an AK-47 prior to January 30th of 2023 in the Keno Springs area?
Personally, I haven't seen an AK-47 in that area.
Ever?
Ever, not me.
Are you familiar with any RIP crews in the Keno Springs area?
No.
What's the last RIP crew that you're familiar with in Santa Cruz County?
The time Agent Terry was shot and killed,
And when was that?
approximately 2010.
So it's been 13 years before the crime, or before this crime, that you are aware of a rib crew in Santa Cruz County?
Personally, you weren't correct.
Now, the defense asked you about the arroyos and some of the roads that lead down to the border wall. So if we could go back to that. And I want to go back to Exhibit 114. Actually, I think it's Exhibit 115. I corrected the numbers on the slides, so. Exhibit 115. Your Honor, could we publish that? Yes. Okay. Everybody can see that? So let's talk a little bit about the arroyos that run through the Kelly property. Defense asked you a bit about them. I think you highlighted those with yellow before, is that right?
That's correct.
Those arroyos or washes, do they go first to the east to the National Forest?
It depends, but yeah, they branch out from the National Forest coming down, I believe.
So they go from this road here, I'm trying to figure out from the road, the Kelly's driveway. It branches sort of east and north, a little bit to the north, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And the one that goes east and north, does it go off the Kelly property
It does.
and onto the National Forest?
It does.
And is there a border patrol road along where this wash comes out in the National Forest?
It could be, I would need to look at the map, but it could be, yeah, leading up to where the fence is, or
Is there a border patrol road that goes
there is a border patrol road.
along the east of the Kelly property, south to the border?
Yes,
And then you can see that the wash also goes sort of southwesterly, is that right?
that is correct.
And are there also border patrol roads that go towards the border in that direction?
Well, I wouldn't say they're called border patrol roads, they're forest, national forest roads, but yeah, there should be some roads intersecting those washes.
They're actually Forest Service roads, right?
Forest service roads, correct?
Okay, I meant to say that you all use them though, correctly?
Yes, that is correct.
And so that wash actually empties onto another road as well, correct?
Yes,
And that road does that road sort of cut along the bottom of the border wall?
yes.
Now, defense asked you a little bit about the bundles that Mr. Kelly talked about with you. Could you describe for the jury what those bundles that he was describing to you look like?
Usually mules, as I stated earlier, the people carrying bundles of narcotics on their backs. Usually big square bundles, half of a size of my torso or bigger, usually wrapped in burlap, and they're heavy.
And did Mr. Kelly describe the bundle to you, or did he just say bundles?
He just said bundles.
Can you tell the jury, have you also seen like a woodland camo backpack?
Yes, usually migrants, regular migrants, use backpacks, kind of like school backpacks, the size of school backpacks. But they're imprinted with that woodland camel, kind of like the ones that hunters use with the leaf imprints. green in color, brown in color, yes,
And when you see those woodland camo backpacks, do you generally see those with migrants or with narcotics?
with migrants.
Fanny packs. Do you see fanny packs sometimes?
I have seen fanny packs, correct.
Who do you generally see the fanny packs on?
Me personally, I see them usually on females. I have seen them on males, but the majority of time, females will use the fanny packs.
And when you see them on males, what's the situation generally?
It depends,
Could be anything.
could be anything.
Could be migrants, could be narcotics, could be anything.
Could be scouts, could be anything, yes, correct.
Radios. Who do you generally see radios on?
Radios, we see them on scouts, people that are leading the groups, but we have seen them on aliens as well, so it depends.
So sometimes you actually see them on an alien, not just a scout.
Correct.
And when you see them on folks you term scouts, that could be for migrants or for narcotics.
That is correct, could be for both.
And is that also true for binoculars?
Correct.
But you also see those binoculars on other folks as well.
Correct.
You see them on bird watchers?
Bird watchers, hunters,
The photo that the defense showed you, do you have any idea what that photograph depicts?
the photo of the person that was perched up on him, like I stated, it could be a scout, it could be a hunter. I wouldn't be able to really tell what it was.
You couldn't see a weapon in that, correct?
No.
And you have no idea when that photo was taken or who it is of?
I have no clue.
So I want to make sure I understand exactly how far away the Washington camp area is from this location. You said you think it's 3 to 4 miles away, is that right?
Approximately, that's my thought, yes.
And you talked about how that might be a potential load-up area for narcotics. Is it also a load-up area for migrants?
Yes.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the location of the Kelly property. Now, the Kelly's house is actually to the far north of their acreage, correct?
What's the other landmark? I'm sorry.
Of that parcel, that 170-acre parcel, they're right at the edge of where their fence line is, right? You talked about where their gate is.
Yes.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. He testified before he wasn't that familiar with this area, and so I don't believe he has personal knowledge.
Well, objections sustained as to, the first question you asked was it close to the border of the Kelly's property? There's no foundation that knows what the outlines of their property are. But then you re-asked the question about whether they're not, how close they are to the fence line. So just re-ask the question,
Sure.
something for which there may be foundation.
You know where the Kelly's fence line is, correct?
The front gate, yes. I don't know the whole property, yes.
But the fence line and the front gate.
The
you know
front
where
gate, I know where it is.
And that's pretty close to the Kelly residence, correct?
That is correct.
Because you hopped that wall and we saw that on the map.
I
correct?
hopped that fence, correct.
And what's just to the north of the Kelly property?
It's just open fields and a road.
And just to the north of that?
Should be Keno Springs, the road.
And is that a residential neighborhood?
That is a residential neighborhood.
And are there a number of houses in the Keno Springs residential neighborhood?
Yes, quite a number of houses.
And it's not, is it that far north of the Kelly property? The road's about a mile, but how far north are the residences?
About a mile from the property, yes.
Okay. what a Normandy barrier is?
I do.
Could you describe that for the jury?
At the end of our area of operations, or the end, let me rephrase it, at the end of the fence, the bollard fence, where it ends, where it stops, there's these sort of barriers put in place. They're steel barriers made out of steel sections of rail that resemble the Normandy barriers used in France during World War II that were put in place on the beaches by the Germans. That's why they're called Normandy barriers. So once the fence ends, we have this section of Normandy barriers to prevent vehicles from driving into the United States with, illegal narcotics or weapons.
So is that just basically big crisscrosses of metal?
That is correct.
And is that, you said it's past where the border wall ends, is that to the east of the border wall?
That's to the east of the border wall, correct?
So would that be in the area where the National Forest is?
Yes,
And that's east of Keno Springs?
yes.
I think that's all I have. Thank you, Agent.
Thank you.
Any question or other questions for this witness on the jurors? I see none. Very well, sir. Thank you. You may step down.
You're on. Thank you.
State calls next week.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Deputy Monreal. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Your Honor. The state calls Gary Wisdom.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, sir. If you would please come over here. Have a seat. All right. Whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Mr. Wisdom. Can you please state your name for the record?
Gary Wisdom,
And I think the common spelling, but can you spell your name for the court?
So, I've got some different speakers up here, so it's very difficult for me to know whether or not you're hearing it or not. So if you have a problem, you gotta let me know. Sorry.
Mr. Wisdom, can you just spell your last name for the court?
Wisdom.
Good morning, Mr. Wisdom. Can you just also then briefly introduce yourself to the jury?
My name's Gary Wisdom.
And how long are you a resident of Santa Cruz County?
Yes,
What part of Santa Cruz County? Don't give me the address, but what part of Santa Cruz County do you live?
east side.
East side?
Mhm.
Are you familiar with Mr. Kelly's residence?
Yes,
Where are you in proximity to Mr. Kelly's residence?
I live on North River Road.
For us, where is that in direction to Mr.
That's
Kelly's?
south of the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Well, I don't think anyone here knows where the Red Schoolhouse is. So are you to the west, to the east, or north of Mr. Kelly?
To the north.
To the north. In Keno Springs?
No, North River Road.
Okay. Close by. How, as a crow flies, how far are you away from Mr. Kelly's residence?
Oh, probably about 6 miles.
6 miles. And how long have you lived here in Santa Cruz County?
I was born and raised here.
Born and raised in Santa Cruz. And what did you do for a living?
I worked with a utility company for a few years. And then I went to work for the golf course in Keno Springs.
And then, are you still working for the golf course?
No,
And
I
are you-
do, sometimes I do things for them, but not very often.
And what do you do now to keep your days busy?
Take care of my cattle,
And how many head of cattle do you have?
about 36 head,
36? Calving season about to start?
yes.
Have you always had 36?
No, I had more than that at one time. I got rid of some, because we didn't have any rains last summer.
Rain dictates how many cattle you keep on hand, right?
Yes,
And that's for the vegetation in the area?
right,
Are you free range? You allow your cows to go wherever?
free range.
And do you ask other neighbors to allow your cows to graze on their property?
No.
No.
I lease from Keno Springs.
You lease from Keno Springs, okay. And obviously, you know Mr. Kelly?
Yes,
How long have you known Mr. Kelly?
20 plus years,
A long time.
quite a while.
When I say no, are you acquaintances or are you friends?
Well, we've been friends.
Like friends, like you see him every week, talk to
No,
each other?
no. No, I've known him about 20 plus years.
Okay, and I'm just gonna jump forward to, were you in Santa Cruz County around January 30th last year?
Yes,
I don't want to talk about what you may have heard, but you're aware of what happened on January 30th, right?
yes,
You know what happened or allegedly happened, right?
right.
Did you speak to anyone? Did you speak to anyone, either Mr. Kelly or Mrs. Kelly, after January 30th?
Yes,
Who did you speak with?
Mrs. Kelly.
And did Mrs. Kelly indicate to you anything about January 30th?
Objection, hearsay.
I'm asking if she,
Yes or no, so yes or no, you can answer yes.
Could you repeat that question?
did Ms. Kelly indicate to you anything about the event of January 30th? Just, that's a yes or no, Mr. Wisdom.
Yes,
Did you have conversations with Mr. Kelly?
yes.
Your Honor, I'm asked to go on to the.
gonna take a little longer than I expected. I'm gonna excuse the jury. I'll stay here in the courtroom with the lawyers and we'll work on this issue. I'll have the bailiff take you out. Please stick around. Don't go too far away. Shouldn't take too long. Let's see. All right, in our sidebar conversation, not getting a very specific statement about what this witness would say or what's anticipated he would say. So let's do a little trial run on that. Let's see where it goes.
Sure.
So we're gonna have some questions. This is like a trial run. We're gonna, again, there's no right or wrong answers. This is honest answers, right? So just give an honest answer. We're just gonna do a little trial run so I can hear what the nature of this testimony is. All right, go ahead.
And just know, I reviewed the transcript, so I will correct myself a little bit. Mr. Wisdom, did you have a conversation with Mr. Kelly about prior instances of people on his property?
Yes.
And do you remember how long ago that was?
2 years.
2 years ago? And I think your transcript indicates 2 to 3 years ago. Would that be about right? And that conversation was about what?
Yeah, he had called me up and told me that there was a group of them back in Mexico. Mid-Florida, shot up in the air. And told me I should probably go check my fences and make sure they didn't get cut.
And did you tell him anything about being careful about that?
Yes, I did.
Tell the court what you mean by be careful about that.
For shooting, up in the air. Could be dangerous for him.
And do you ever indicate to you that he patrolled his area with an AK-47? He never told you that? We'll withdraw that kind of question, Your Honor. That won't be asked, but first part clearly is 404B. We motioned this in a pretrial motion. This is clearly indicative of a pattern by the defendant here. This eerily relates to this incident, shooting at people heading south on his property. Shooting in the air, shooting his weapon in the air, similar to what's going on here.
I think we already pretty extensively briefed the issue, so we're just sticking with our objection.
We'll sit again here in open court.
It's very long ago in time that this is alleged to have taken place. It's not clear, we can tell from the witness that he had a conversation with Mr. Kelly about this. It's not clear when the incident actually took place that Mr. Kelly is allegedly talking about. And it's not clear again how many shots, it's not clear if people were armed or not armed. And this witness just doesn't know. There's insufficient information for that to be probative. And we think the prejudicial effect outweighs the probative value of that evidence and that it could be used as propensity, which is not permissible. So for those reasons, we object.
So, thank you. It's unclear to the court what the foundation is, or if there's foundation as to not when the telephone call occurred, when the conversation occurred, but when the subject alleged incident. That's important to the court's analysis on the floor.
Well, yes, Mr. Wisdom, did Mr. Kelly give you any indication of when this happened in time?
I don't know if it happened that day.
Was it close in proximate time to when he called you?
Yes,
So it was close in time to the phone call.
right.
And I don't think there's foundation for that. I mean, the witness is being agreeable, but how does
That's
he
one of our dear witnesses.
Sure. You're saying that you and Mr. Kelly had a conversation, and that was what, you said that conversation took place 2 or 3 years ago, is that what you said?
Yes,
And in the conversation, Mr. Kelly told you something about firing a weapon into the air, right?
right.
Did he tell you when he fired that weapon into the air?
No,
Did he give you any information about when that took place at all?
no. I think it was that day he called me.
What you think it was that day? Did
Right.
Mr. Kelly tell you it was that day?
I figured it was that day told me to go check my fences to make sure they didn't get cut.
So that's the only reason you have to believe that that took place on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute, Your Honor.
I think we got the information.
Anything else? Well, clearly, Your Honor, he's indicating the time, proximity, when he received the phone call. Mr. Kelly tells him to go check his fence lines, so that gives you also an inference that happened on that day, hence the phone call to Mr. Wisdom.
This issue is governed by Rule 404B of the Arizona Rules of Evidence, which provides in subsection 1, except as otherwise provided in Rule 404C, evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts is not admissible to prove the character of a person in order to show action in conformity therewith. Subsection 2, permitted uses. This evidence, however, may be admissible for other purposes such as proof of motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, identity, or absence of mistake or accident. The court is mindful that we've had hearings on these conversations and related conversations, some of which are memorialized in text messages. And I've ruled on the text messages. I've ruled that some of those text messages are admissible, but I did it on the basis primarily that it showed preparation by the defendant for what is alleged to have occurred in this case. But all those text messages that the court will allow to be introduced with proper foundation are very proximate in time to the alleged event in this case, within days or within, I think, 30 days or so, probably less. The court would admit those text messages on the basis that it would tend to show and be probative of the defendant's preparation for the events that occurred, but also mindful, of course, of Rule 403. These incidents are alleged to have occurred about 2 or 3 years prior to this alleged incident. So the basis upon which the court admitted those other text messages is not present here. It can't show preparation for this. It doesn't tend to strongly show preparation for what's alleged to have occurred here because it happened 2 or 3 years prior. It's prejudicial in that really what it tends to show, what the court infers it is being offered to show, is that this defendant has a propensity for violence and willing to use violence on his property, even if his sister weren't. Also under Rule 403, the court excludes this evidence, finding that its probative value, which is minimal given the lack of proximity in time to the events that occurred. The court may exclude relevant evidence if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of one or more of the following: unfair prejudice, confusing the issues, misleading the jury, undue delay, wasting time, and needlessly presenting cumulative evidence. I think this evidence would tend to be used by the jury to show, if they would use it for such, but they would use it to try to infer that Mr. Kelly has a certain propensity for being willing to use violence in this situation. So that's an improper use. I appreciate very much, Mr. Jenney, bringing this to the court's attention out of the presence of the jury. But for that reason, the objection is sustained. We can bring it back to the jury. Some water.
Oh, Right, good thought.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat. We resolved the issue. We're ready to go forward. Mr. Jetty, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Wisdom, I think I forgot to ask you, how big is your property?
About maybe 2,000 acres.
2,000, do you have, it's a big piece of property, do you have any hands, any help?
I have friends that help me out.
Okay, and that's where your 36 cows, 36 head graze is on your 2,000 acres?
Yes,
Let me ask you, do you patrol your area? Do you walk your 2,000 acres?
No.
ATV, horseback?
I used to ride on horseback.
Do you go out on your property though, often?
Yes,
And do you carry any weapons when you go out?
No.
You don't carry any guns?
yes, sir.
Are you afraid?
I just don't take them with me.
Yeah, this is always a personal question, Mr. Wisdom, but can I just ask you how old you are?
73.
73. And in your time, have you always owned that 2,000 acres? I mean,
I don't own it, I lease it,
lease it. And how long have you been in that area leasing 2,000 acres?
19 years.
19 years. And do you see a lot of people coming on your property?
No, not usually.
I'm talking about migrants from Mexico.
No, I used to see them quite often, not so much anymore.
When did that stop? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. And when they came on your property, were you afraid?
I just go the other way.
Go the other way?
Um,
Do you call in, you report it?
Pardon?
Do you report it, seeing people on your property?
I have
And you report that to which agency?
Border Patrol.
Border Patrol. Have you ever used a weapon to scare anyone off your property?
No,
Why wouldn't you do that?
why would I?
Why wouldn't you?
Objection, relevance.
That's all the questions I have, right?
Cross-examination.
You lease property that is, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay. The property that you lease, is that at least some of it adjacent to Mr. Kelly's property?
yes,
And you've known Mr. Kelly and you've known him for a long time, right?
yes,
And you've known his wife Wanda for a long time also, right?
yes.
Okay. And does Mr. Kelly sometimes contact you to let you know that fences have been cut?
No, not usually.
Does he sometimes let you know that fences have been cut?
No,
He doesn't let you know about fences being cut?
no.
Okay. Have your fences ever been cut?
Oh, yes.
How frequently? Is that something that happens pretty often out there?
It used to happen more than it does now.
Okay. And when your fences do get cut, that can cause problems because your cattle can get out, right?
Right.
And then you have to go out and make repairs to your fences, correct? And so is it pretty standard for you to check on your fences pretty regularly?
Usually if I see some cows that are out, that are up there in the village, the Keno Springs, then I go check to see where they came to.
Okay. And it wouldn't be unusual for somebody, maybe who has a smaller piece of property, to go check on fences pretty regularly, right?
Yes,
To make sure that they haven't been cut, right?
right.
And I think we want to just make it clear, you don't live on this property that you're leasing, is that
No.
correct?
No.
So Mr. Kelly lives out there, right?
Yes,
You lease property that's adjacent to Mr. Kelly, right?
yes,
And you live somewhere else, right?
right.
Do you live near Keno Springs or more near Rio Rico?
Keno Springs,
Keno Springs, but near the Little Red Schoolhouse?
right.
Okay. Have you ever seen people on your property, illegal aliens on your property? That's something you've seen, correct?
Yes,
And I'm assuming most of the people you see probably don't have weapons, correct?
I've seen them with weapons.
Most of them probably don't, right?
Yeah,
You have seen people with weapons, correct?
yes,
How often have you seen people with weapons on your property?
several times.
Several times. How big of a group did you see on your property on those several times when you saw people with weapons?
How big of a what?
Of a group, how many people did you see?
Oh, it could be 3 to 10 to 12 people.
You've seen groups from 3 to 10 to 12 people on your property?
Yes.
And those groups that you've observed, you've seen some of those people to be carrying weapons?
Yes, I've seen weapons.
What kind of weapons did you see, if you
I
can
don't know
tell?
what they were.
Were they rifles or handguns?
Rifles,
Rifles? And you've seen that on at least 3 different occasions?
yes.
Okay. Did you observe anything else about these groups who were carrying rifles on your property?
No,
Were they carrying anything else?
they had backpacks,
Were they large backpacks?
yes.
Okay. And were these men in these groups that you observed?
Pardon me?
Men you saw in the groups?
Men?
Were they men?
Yes.
Okay.
I figured they were probably carrying drugs.
And why did you figure they were probably carrying drugs?
They wouldn't have no other reason to be going through those,
Right?
carrying that.
Were they wearing camouflage? Do you recall?
I've seen them camouflaged, but most of the time dressed in black.
You normally see groups dressed in black when you see people carrying rifles. Could you tell, and if you can't tell, let us know, but were you able to tell how many members in the group had rifles? Was it all of them, some of them, or something different?
I don't think all of them are carrying rifles.
You don't think all of them carried rifles?
Like I said, if I saw them like that, I'd turn around and go a different direction.
Makes sense. Those groups, when you did have those several encounters that you're talking about, were you out by yourself on that property?
Yes,
In a vehicle or on foot or on horseback?
vehicle
Vehicle?
and on horseback.
So on different occasions, you've been out there either in a vehicle or on horseback, and you've seen groups of armed men.
That's what he said before. So he
Yes.
just ask
Sorry.
another question.
When you say they're wearing black, were all members of the group wearing black to your recollection?
That I can remember, yes.
Okay. Did you report these instances to Border Patrol? When you-
Yes,
Those 3 instances you reported to Border Patrol?
Right.
Do you recall how quickly Border Patrol was able to respond?
fairly quickly,
How quick is fairly quickly?
within 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, so 10 to 20 minutes. Were they able to apprehend any of these people as far as you are aware?
I'm not aware if they have.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Be direct.
Mr. Wisdom, you talked about backpacks, you saw backpacks. How far back in time was that? How long ago?
It's been a couple of years.
A little while ago, right?
Yeah.
When we're talking about backpacks, are we talking about the ones that kids wear to school, or are we talking about a different size backpack?
Bigger backpacks.
Can you like describe what my backpack that looks like?
I'd say it's probably about 3 feet long, and maybe a couple of feet wide.
Pretty substantial. Then you said the people that you saw with those kind of backpacks, and some of them had weapons. I think that was your testimony. They were all wearing black.
Yes.
I didn't ask you this, but Do you see Mr. Kelly in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Where is he sitting?
over there behind you.
Behind me, right behind me? Is he sitting at defense counsel table?
Yes.
Your Honor, can the record reflect the witnesses identify Mr. Kelly?
So ordered.
That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any questions for this witness from any of yours? Seeing none, will this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen, you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State and cause next witness.
State calls Deputy Monreal.
Please, sir, step up.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could I have them, sir? Good morning. Could you please tell the jury your full name and spell your last name for the court reporter?
Good morning. My first name is David. Last name is Monreal, Monreal. Additional Fabian, Fabian.
And are you a deputy with the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, I'm a deputy with the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office. My badge number is 191.
And Deputy Monreal, how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
I've been employed with the Sheriff's Office for over 6 years.
And could you tell us, have you spent your whole career at the Sheriff's Department?
My whole career has been with the Sheriff's Department. It's been 5 years, consisted of a detention center. I did 5 years, and the year and a half approximately has been with the deputy side.
So you were a detention officer in our jail here for 5 years, and then for a year and a half, you've been a deputy.
Yes, correct.
Could you just tell the jury a little bit about your training and experience?
My training experience, when I started at detention, it was back in 2017, June 24th. Went to the academy, which is Coda Academy, Tucson, graduated from the academy. I then spent those 5 years at the detention center where I was going to trainings, various trainings on how to deal with inmates, interact with people. Then was also a supervisor in the year of 2019. I became a corporal supervisor where I would have more training. I was sent to trainings for how to communicate with staff. Then after that, I became an interim sergeant for the year of 2021. After that, I went to the academy for the deputy patrol side. I went to the academy in 2022. I went to the academy of June 25th. July 25th of 2022, I went to the academy in Cochise County, where I graduated December 8th of 2022, where various trainings from defensive tactics, interacting with people, domestic violence, how to interact, how to talk. And from there, the training, when I graduated, I was placed in a 3-month training here at the Sheriff's Office with different trainers, where it became 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks, and then 2 weeks as well. I was trained by 3 different officers during the course when this incident happened.
Was your training complete, or were you still on training at the time of this incident?
I was still in training. It was my phase 3. It was phase 3 approximate. I was in the streets 7 to 8 weeks. I was still in training. 7 to 8.
And so on January 30th of 2023, who was your field training officer?
My field training officer was Deputy Arlette Cabrera, batch number 139.
And when you're on your field training, does that deputy, that field training officer, do they shadow you the whole time?
The whole time, she's always next to me. I cannot leave her side. If there's a call I'm responding to, she's next to me. I cannot leave her side. She's always there too.
And were you riding together in a vehicle?
Yes, we're riding together.
Now, on January 30th of 2023, did you and your field training officer get dispatched to a call?
Yes, we did.
And was that at 100 Willow Cross Circle?
Yes, correct.
Do you know what time you were dispatched to that call?
Call came out approximately 14:47 hours.
And what time is that in non-military regular people time?
2:47 p.m.
So you got dispatched at 2:47. Do you know where y'all were when you got dispatched?
We're here at the sheriff's office, 2170 North Congress Drive.
And when the call was dispatched, there are calls that you go to that you turn on your lights and sirens, and then there are calls that you don't turn on your lights and sirens. Can you tell us what the difference is?
Right. So the difference is our dispatch could dispatch to any call, such as we need assistance, you keep the peace. It could be any call that is thrown over the radio, and we'll just respond normal traffic, driving normally. But when there is an emergency alert tone, it's an approximate 2 to 3 second sound.
I apologize for that,
This
y'all.
is the radio, pay attention what they're gonna tell you and what's going on. Once we hear that, we know where we're going, we activate like lights and sirens. That's usually when we also drive over speed limit, just pay attention to traffic and what's going on and go to that emergency.
So was this a tuned out call or was this a red call?
It was a tone-out call.
And so when you got the call, I'm assuming you turned on your lights and sirens and sped to the location.
That's correct.
All right. Were you driving or was it Deputy Cabrera?
I was driving.
And when you got tuned out to the call, how long do you think it took you to get out there to Keno Springs?
Did not recall, but approximately at least 20, 30 minutes from here from the sheriff's.
When you got there, what did you observe?
Arrived there, what I observed first was 2 Border Patrol agents standing at the gate.
Were you and Deputy Cabrera the first Sheriff's Department officers to respond?
Yes, correct. Also, as well was Sergeant Julia Garcia, batch number 130, and as well Deputy Castaneda, Cristóbal Castaneda, batch number 144.
Did they arrive at a similar time to you, or, I mean, were you together? How did that work out, if you remember?
They were right behind us.
Were there any other deputies other than the 4 of you?
No.
When the 4 of you arrived and you saw the Border Patrol agents, where were the Border Patrol agents stationed when you got there?
I got there, they were right at the gate of entrance.
Were they on the inside or outside?
They're outside the residence gate.
So not on the property, just outside the property?
That's correct, outside the property.
Once you arrived and you saw them there, what did y'all do?
Once we arrived, first of all, we came out of our units with our long rifles. All of our deputies had our AR rifles, which is issued by the county.
Why'd you have your rifle?
We had our rifles due to the fact that the call came out that there were shots fired in the area. We were not knowing what was really going on other than shots fired in the area.
So anytime there's a shot fired call, that's how you're gonna respond with your rifle?
Yes.
Do you take those kind of calls seriously?
Yes.
Do you get those calls a lot?
No.
You don't get shots fired calls very often?
It's not very often since I've been out here.
And when you got out of the vehicle with the rifle, what'd you do with the Border Patrol agent?
I approached the Border Patrol agents and they briefed me a little bit of what was going on, what they knew about.
And after you had that briefing, what'd y'all do?
After we had that briefing, that's when we decided to try and search the area.
When you say search the area, what were you looking for?
We're looking at the point, at that time, we're looking for any threats and as well for Mr. Kelly, just the fact that Border Patrol agents had told us he had left, searching for himself.
So there's something called a security sweep and then there's an actual search. Would you describe this as a security sweep or a search at this point?
This was a search, basically,
A search, what are you looking for?
just looking for any subjects that have weapons, because at that time, Border Patrol had told us there were armed subjects.
So isn't that what a security sweep is? Aren't you looking for a
Objectively.
danger?
Then we were looking,
Let me ask it again. I'll ask it in a different way. A security sweep, what does a security sweep entail?
well, security sweep tells, basically look as, as much as we can, see where we're trying to, look. We're not looking under every rock, basically, we're moving every pebble we could find on the floor.
Okay, but what are you looking for?
We're looking for any threat, any immediate threat, if there were shots fired, we're looking for someone.
So this, what you refer to as a search, were you looking under every rock when you were doing this, what you refer to as a search?
We're looking as much where someone could hide or be or place themselves as a human being could hide behind or move around.
And were you looking for them for a reason?
We're looking for the reason of just shots fired and as the reason of they were possibly armed.
Okay. Did you describe this in your report in some way?
The search?
Yes.
I don't recall if I just described it. I do believe I put a cursory search of the area.
Cursory search? Is that how you would describe it as a cursory search?
Yes.
Can you tell me, I'm going to show you what's been admitted. As exhibit 114. Do you recognize that?
Yes. Yes.
This has already been admitted. Can we publish it? Not coming up. Oh, it's over there, but just not up here? Okay, all right. Sorry, I was waiting for that to come up on the TV screen over here, so pardon me. So. Can I go on? Thank you. So, can you tell us what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 114?
We're looking at a Google map picture from the residence.
And when you say the residence, is that the Kelly residence?
Yes, correct.
And I'm gonna zoom it in just a little bit. Do you see on this map the area where you came in through the gate?
Yes.
And can you show us, if you touch on the screen in the upper left-hand corner with that stylus that's in front of you, if you touch the upper right-hand corner, it'll give you a color. And then if you circle the area where the gates are located. Just to the north of that area on the map, do you see a different, something in that area? Is it possible that the gates are a little bit further north?
Yes.
So, you could undo that, right? Can you circle now where the gates are located? What did you do when you chatted with Border Patrol? You said there you were on the other side of the gates. How did you get into the property?
At that point, we then got off our vehicle and we opened the gate.
Okay, was the gate unlocked?
They had a chain.
And what did you do with the chain?
Just took it off, opened it, and opened the gate.
So was it just wrapped with the chain or was it locked?
At that point, it didn't have a lock, it was just wrapped.
Okay, and so you opened the gate at that point, did y'all drive in?
No, at that point, we just started walking in.
Okay, and when you walked in, what did y'all do?
When we walked straight towards the residence of the road.
Okay, and so I see a dirt path on the map that's on the screen. Is that the dirt road you followed?
Yes, correct. It's gonna be this road.
And what did you do after you followed the dirt road? Where did y'all go?
We went towards back of the residence, towards this side, to the back. We couldn't find a way. The fencing, we're trying to wait to jump the fence or go under the fence.
So there was actually a fence behind the house?
Yes.
And that area where the magenta line is that you just drew? Okay. And what did you find as you walked along the fence line?
We were gonna find, it just looked like a ladder that was placed to be able to jump the fence. This was located behind this structure, so the ladder should be located around this area.
And when you say a ladder, could you describe what that ladder structure was like over the barbed wire fence?
Just a ladder, by 4 or 6 feet ladder that was placed on top of the fence. Then it had another part going down on the other side.
So it's just two regular ladders along the fence line, or is it one ladder with two pieces? Do you recall?
Do not recall.
But it was a ladder on, somehow there was a ladder structure on each side of the fence? And what did y'all do? Were you all four together at this point?
At this point we were, since we were able to find that access to go over the fence, and all four went over the ladders, over the fence.
And how large was the area that was fenced in that area? Do you recall?
Do not recall,
Did you search inside the fence line, or did you go outside that fence line?
but we went outside the fence line. Once we jumped that ladder, we located another fence where we did have to go under the fence.
Okay, and so you actually went under the other fence? Did y'all go together? Did you split up? What did you do when you were in this area?
Once we went under the second fence, we started to divide ourselves a little bit wider. Divide and see what we could see. I did have to stay with Deputy Cabrera. I could not leave her side. So it was mostly three searching part.
So the two of you went one way and the other two deputies went off in other directions?
That's correct.
Do you know what direction you and Deputy Cabrera went?
At this point, we're more of the east and then south this way.
Do you recall if you came to a dirt road? Did you go as far as the dirt road?
Yes.
You did. Did you go past the dirt road? Or did you just go to the dirt road?
We went down to the wash that is located down here. This area.
Okay.
Into the wash. After the wash, we hit this dirt road.
Okay. And how did you get from where you were down to the wash?
Where we just started walking east.
Testing.
The search.
Testing.
So you went east and then south? And do you know what the other deputies
Testing.
did?
There we go. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
joining me today.
And
I'm
our
sorry I had
calls, they
to
were
step
to my
away.
left, probably a little bit up more around the same area.
They were to your left?
They're to my left.
Okay, so if you're walking east, then that would put them north of you?
A little bit, not very far.
Okay, and so you think you all hiked around down to the wash? Did you all go that direction, or did they go different directions?
No, it was basically most of the same direction, just a little widespread of feet apart.
Okay. And then when you came down to the wash, did you discover anything?
No, did not discover any.
What was the brush like? Do you remember?
It was medium sized, dry, probably knee high.
If anything had been laying in the brush or hiding in the brush, would you have seen it if you were not right on top of it?
So, objection, no, at this point, honestly, no, we're not searching really low.
You
My
weren't
baby
searching low, but if
girl.
someone had been hiding in it, would you have been able to see them?
No, honestly, no.
At any point, did you see any sign that there had been large groups of people through that area?
No,
Did you see any sign of anything?
not at the moment.
Okay. And then you said you hiked down into the wash. Did you see anything in the wash? And then you said you hiked over to the dirt roads, is that right?
Yes.
Is that like a driveway into the Kelly property?
It's like a two-track driveway around the property.
And what did you do when you got to that driveway?
Once we got to that driveway, we decided to go back, myself, Gabriel Carrera, decided to go back to the residence, see if we could speak with Ms. Kelly, see if she had been in contact with Mr. Kelly, either telephone or he probably made it back to the residence.
And without telling us what she said, did y'all talk to Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
And then what did you do after you talked to Ms. Kelly?
After we talked with Ms. Kelly, we then got back into our fully marked patrol unit, myself and Gabriel Carrera, and then drove down to the two-track we had came walking back to the residence.
And did you encounter anyone?
Once we drove down the two-track, later on we encountered a Sergeant Yuya Garcia.
And did Sergeant Garcia tell you that she heard something?
Yes, Sergeant Yuya Garcia stated that she had a canine down the two-track and to make herself drive down there to see if we could locate Mr. Kelly or the canine he was with at the time.
Sergeant Garcia was your supervisor on that occasion, is that right?
Yes, she was.
And so she directed you to head on down the driveway to see if you could find the dogs and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
And did you do that?
Yes.
And what did you observe when you drove down the road?
When I started driving down the road, I then observed the Border Patrol agents walking up the dirt road along with Mr. Kelly.
Did you see anything else with Mr. Kelly?
Mr. Kelly was carrying, well, he had his canines and then he also was carrying a long rifle, his right arm.
You said his canines. Is his dogs, how many dogs?
Yeah, that I recall, I remember one. I have two.
You just recall one dog?
Yes.
Okay. And you said he was carrying something else with him? What else was he carrying?
He was carrying a long rifle, an AK-47.
And how was he carrying that?
He was carrying it by the stock, the back part of the weapon, and the muzzle was pointing behind him.
And I see you pointing to your right shoulder. Is that the way that he was carrying it, over his right shoulder?
Yes, correct.
And did you document in your report which arm he was carrying it?
Do not recall if I talked about which arm it was.
If I showed you a copy of your report, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't said very much, y'all. I apologize. I had a dear, dear friend who I've not seen in ages come by. I had to give her a gift and love on her a little bit. She's building a house and it's going on and on and on and on and on. And it's been a little discouraging, but we're starting to see, so I think, the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I had to say hello, but I left this running so you guys can continue to watch. During the break, I will go back and rewatch what I missed, and then I will start commenting again this afternoon. I do have a hard stop at 2 o'clock.
Is that a copy of your report?
We'll see when they take their full lunch hour break, because they take a long break. It can be an hour and a half to 2 hour break. I'm going to try something while we're doing this, because I did something to my room. See if that looks better. Ah, it does. I've got to get one more tile up. Ah, that gives me a little more space.
Have that refresh your
I like that.
Yes,
Did you document it?
yes, I do.
And what document?
I documented the long rifle was on his right arm, right side.
There we go. More comfortable. Don't feel like I'm up in it.
Did you know what the long arm was? Did you know any details about it?
The details that really stand out to me was it had approximately 3 or 4 in the main inch flashlight with an orange button. It was on the right side of the firearm, long rifle, by the barrel. It was what really stands out to me was the orange button, and then that it was being held with something that looked like black duct tape.
Did you notice what kind of weapon it was?
Notice it was appeared to be an AK-47.
Did you note anything about the stock or the grip?
The stock and the grip was a dark colored wood. Grip, handle, and stock.
And did you notice anything about the metal?
The metal you can see is worn out, light charcoal gray color.
After you made those observations, did you talk to Mr. Kelly while you were there on the road?
Yes.
And do you see Mr. Kelly here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Would you describe what he's wearing and where he's sitting for the court?
He's wearing a long sleeve, squared blue, light blue shirt. Wearing a Levi's jacket. Vest.
Before I move on from the weapon, did you know anything about whether the AK-47 had a strap or not?
Do not recall.
You don't know.
This is really difficult to understand. It is their audio and not mine. I
And
apologize.
when you chatted with Mr. Kelly, what is it that he told you happened that day?
They say that day when I spoke to Mr. Kelly was that he heard a gunshot.
Did he tell you where he was, first of all?
He was standing by the kitchen island in his residence.
By his kitchen island?
Yes.
And what did he tell you he observed? Where did he observe something through?
When he was standing by the kitchen island, he observed through his living room window. He had observed those 5 subjects, possibly wearing backpacks, camouflage, and possibly wearing carrying rifles.
Did he tell you whether they were running or walking?
That they were running south. He had also seen his horse was running back and forth in the strips.
So he said there were 5 subjects. He saw them from the kitchen through the living room window, and he saw 5 subjects running south. Does that accurately summarize that part of the statement you just told me?
Yes.
And then, did he say if he heard anything?
He did say he had heard 1 gunshot.
What did he say he saw when he heard the gunshot?
He saw all those subjects running south.
Did he see anything else with respect to his horse?
And his horse running back and forth, startled.
Did you indicate that he said his horse was in distress?
Yes.
Does that accurately summarize that part of Mr. Kelly's statement?
Yes.
What did he say he did after he made those observations?
After he made those observations, he stated he went to his front door where he has the AK-47 and grabbed it and walked outside.
What did he say about the AK-47 and where he keeps it?
He didn't make the comment when he was grabbing the AK-47 of his baby's always by the door.
Does that accurately summarize what Mr. Kelly told you?
Yes.
And you said that he went outside, is that right?
Yes.
Did he tell you which door he exited?
The main, by the living room door, where the gun was.
So is that on the
It's going to be on the
north side, the east side, south side?
south side of the residence.
So the house is sort of at an angle, right?
Correct.
So the south side, is that also like southeast? Is the southeast patio door?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the map. So if this is north-south on the property, let me zoom it in for you. Can you point, with using the map, using the pointer, which side of the house you believe that was? Was there a pergola out that direction? Was there a pergola on the side of the area where you thought he came out of the house? Or was it the other side house? Do you know what a pergola is? Is it Nebo?
Is this you? Do not recall.
You don't remember? And so the area where you've just drawn the map, it looks like there's a wall around it, and that's where the front door is. Is that where you think he came out?
Yes.
You think he told you he came out the front door? And did he say what he did after he came outside?
After he came outside, he just stated he followed them with his canines.
And he said a minute ago that he saw the subject, and what did he tell you they were, what did he tell you about what he observed?
They observed the subjects that they were wearing camouflage, also backpacks, and some were carrying rifles.
Did he say they were carrying rifles, or did he say they were something else?
They were carrying rifles.
And does your report document that they were carrying rifles, or that he told you they were possibly carrying rifles?
Report does say I stated possibly.
And which is accurate?
Possibly a second.
So he told you that he exited the residence, he saw the subject, and they were possibly carrying rifles.
That's correct.
And you said you also remember him saying that they were carrying backpacks, is that right?
Yes.
And did you say camouflage?
Yes. Correct.
Did you have information that somehow there were reports of shots fired?
All information on shots fired was the one when it came over the radio.
They got dispatched out that way?
Correct.
And so did you ask them about that?
Didn't ask him directly about the shots or.
Did you ask him if the subject shot at him?
I did ask him what he had heard and what the shot, if they had shot at him.
And how did he respond?
Responded he did not know of what direction they were shooting, or if they had met other cartel members and they were doing a shootout.
Okay, so let's start with the direction first. He told you he didn't know what direction they shot, is that right?
That's correct.
So does that accurately summarize what he said to you?
Yes.
And then you said, he said something about a shootout. Can you tell me what that was about?
That's about, he didn't know if the reason why they were running or the shot was fired, if it was another rival cartel members had a conflict between each other.
Have you ever seen that happen in Keno Springs?
No.
And so he said he thought they encountered another cartel, and what did he say he thought happened?
They did believe that they were just cartel members, rivals, and shot at each other, and they just started running south.
And did he say that he thought they were scared from the shot?
Yes.
Does that accurately summarize what it is?
Yes.
What did he tell you he did after he made those observations?
After I made those observations, when he started try to follow the subject south with his canines.
And did he tell you how many canines or dogs he had with him?
I don't recall.
You don't remember if you documented that in your report? If I showed you your report, that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Is it still in front of you?
Yes.
Could you take a look? What did he say he observed?
You didn't observe it, you didn't see him anymore, he wasn't able to have visual of them. He stated they probably made it south and wasn't able to see.
So he said he never saw them again after he followed them with his dog.
Correct.
And he said they made it south.
We don't need to repeat every time, this is all accounts, okay? Because you're right. We don't need to repeat every time with witnesses testify to it's our process and questions, ask those questions. Right? It's not directed to this person. I'm the graphics, it takes some time, so it's a waste of time. Just ask those questions.
Did he tell you where he thought they made it back to?
Back south was Mexico border.
Does that accurately summarize what he told you?
Yes.
Now, after you had this conversation with Mr. Kelly, did you talk to him about another officer?
I did inform him that Deputy Cristóbal Castañeda mentioned when we report.
People get up, they get a little nervous, we understand, especially in circumstances, they don't know what's talking.
I did tell him that Deputy Cristóbal Castañeda, batch number 144, would be the main officer of the case, and he would be speaking with them.
So Castaneda was the main officer, is that what you said?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, that's why I'm kind of repeating what you're saying, so I'm sure I have it.
Yes, he was the main officer.
Okay, and so you told George you were gonna talk to him,
Yes.
and after you told him that, what did you do next?
After that, myself and Deputy Gabriel got in our unit. That's when I asked Mr. Kelly if he needed a ride back to the residence.
And what did he say?
He stated no, that he was going to walk back with his two canines.
At some point later, were you contacted, does that end your investigation in this case?
Yes, at that day it was.
The next day, were you contacted by the Criminal Investigation Division?
Yes, I was the following day.
And when you were contacted by them, what did they ask you to do?
They asked me if I could describe the weapon, if I could identify the weapon that Mr. Kelly was carrying the day, on the 30th.
Did you go and look at a weapon?
Yes, I went to the sheriff's office, to the Criminal Investigations Division office, where they showed me a weapon.
And was it the right weapon?
No, it was not.
And do you remember what time that was?
I don't recall the time.
Would your report reflect that?
Yes.
You want to take a look?
Sorry about that, y'all. I got blocked. Now I have no volume.
During the day, we were asked by the Criminal Investigations Division to assist them in searching the residence for the weapon.
What time did you go out to assist with that search warrant?
Do not recall the exact time.
Would it help if you looked at your report?
Yes.
So sometimes people will put up a royalty block on you even though they have no claim.
And when you got out there at 11 a.m., did you take a look at, did they ask you to look at a different weapon?
Yes, I was asked to look at different weapon.
And where was that weapon?
That weapon was located in a room. It was found by Detective Sergeant Flores. It was located behind a door to a room beneath a coat.
And when you looked at that weapon, what did you discover?
I discovered and I saw that weapon, I realized it was the same weapon I had seen Mr. Kelly carrying the day before.
And could I need to show the witness a picture? I'm going to show you an image from Exhibit 34, and And it's image number 4636. Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
And what does that item appear to be?
The item appears to be an AK-47, the weapon I had seen Mr. Kelly carrying the day before.
Is that the item you identified as the AK-47 that Mr. Kelly was carrying on January 30th of 2023?
Yes, so it's.
We're going to move for admission of image number 4636 and item 34.
This is track.
So what's the exhibit?
34, Your Honor. Image number 4630.
This is not tracking, I was just trying to see if I could track, I can follow it up, I don't know. But just get clarity if I may, is this just evidence number 34?
Exhibit 34, correct.
Photo of the,
Correct. And image number 4636.
For this photo, mark down 34, I would have to check.
So this is one page from, as I understand it, other exhibits are just more.
I wish they turn up their microphones.
466.
It's really starting to bother me.
And
Okay, here's the gun.
weapon that you observed.
Yes,
That's the AK-47 Mr. Kelly was handling.
yes.
I'm going to show you another image.
In the same.
Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
And what is that?
The AK-47 Mr. Kelly was carrying.
Is that the other side of it?
Yes, correct.
Move for admission of exhibit 34, item number, image 4637.
No objection.
4637.
And is that the other side of the weapon?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the detective to show the witness the weapon, which we have in evidence.
Okay, anybody who's sensitive to guns, I'm going to go ahead and put a trigger warning up. Some people are. Don't want you to be triggered, but this is the weapon in question. Mind you, the witness yesterday said he heard it and he tagged it as an AK-47. He said he knew it was an AK-47 because he has heard them shot during Christmas time up in the air in Mexico. Well, if you get an AK-47 and an AR and they're both shooting at the same time, you might be able to pick out one from another. But I seriously doubt that unless you carry this weapon and use this weapon on a very regular basis, that from 100 yards away, 200 yards away, you would know exactly what weapon was firing. In my humble opinion, which may not be much.
Just so you know, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've ordered and had this particular item of evidence, this weapon.
Are they going to clear the weapon?
Triple checked, just to make sure it has no live ammunition. Ensure that it's completely safe for this display.
You need to have someone check the weapon.
Detective, could you please show the witness exhibit 10, State's exhibit 101?
Hopefully they have something in it to show that it's empty.
Do it so that it doesn't show.
Which I'm sure it is with everybody that's...
Deputy Monreal, do you recognize that item?
Yes.
And what is that item?
The AK-47 Mr. Kelly was carrying on January 30th.
You're moved for admission of State's Exhibit 101.
Ma'am, approach the box and please inside.
Detective, could you show the system without showing the jury? And I'm not sure what exchange is happening, but if there's some kind of question, we need to have it on the record. And if counsel is touching things, she needs to put on a pair of gloves. Could we have a discussion sidebar about,
Let's do this.
Okay, I don't know what they're talking about, y'all. I give my apologies. It really bothers me that the volume is so low. I am so sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. It's on their end, not mine. Some days they're better, some days they're not. So I'm waiting to see if this afternoon is any better or not. Testing. There's my mic. I got to see if I can purchase a device to boost audio. I don't want an app. Don't want an app. Think I'll have to call you. Maybe I'll call Rodecaster. They might be able to know. Because this is horrid. This is so frustrating. Okay, the headphones are coming off.
I had moved for admission of State's Exhibit 101, and if council will check your exhibit list that we emailed you this morning on there. Your Honor, could the detectives display this for the jury, please?
I will have to do it on break.
And while the detective is displaying that for the jury, is there also inside the box the black electrical tape and the flashlight that you observed that were on the flashlight?
Yes, correct.
Can you turn around so the jury can see it?
I have everything up 100%.
Monreal, when you looked in the box, was there also
Sorry to interrupt. So for obvious reasons, well, this has been admitted in evidence. For obvious reasons, we don't intend to send this back with you to the jury room, as we will with all the other exhibits. If you really need to see it, we may do it, but take whatever look you need to use right now, or have right now, to make sure you have the exhibit, because it might not be available to you.
the judge, I think, wants them to get a better look, so he could move a little, maybe a little.
Do you have a question about the problem viewing the, hold on a second. What's the issue?
Your Honor,
What's your,
when arguing,
you and the other jurors will be allowed to ask questions at the close of the witnesses' testimony. So write it down so you don't forget. Has everyone had a chance to look at the weapon the way you want to? Yes, Juror number 10.
I would see some accurate measurements of the weapon.
All right, put that in question, and we'll see if we can address it now.
Yeah.
Good. All right, you can put it away. Are you done with the hearing?
I'm not, Your Honor. I just need to show the electrical tape and the flashlight. Deputy, you also mentioned electrical tape and a flashlight. You also mentioned electrical tape and a flashlight. Is that also contained in the box?
Yes, correct.
Hey, Matt, what's up?
Is that the electrical tape and the flashlight you saw on the weapon in the way that it is shown in the photographs?
Yes, it was.
Could you hold that up just so that the jury can see it, please? The back, please. Can you flip it around? Detective Ayuso, could you maybe display that for the jury? I think some folks down here on the other end are having trouble.
Him and his freaking tamales.
Why don't you, we're going into the lunch hour a little bit, but I would just prefer to finish this so we can put this stuff away. So, sorry about that.
May we go on the headset?
Let's recess for lunch. I'm going to send the jury out. We'll stay here and keep working on the issues. You're excused for lunch. Remember the admission of the court. We're going to recommence at 1:30 this afternoon. Please be back in the jury room slightly before lunch.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go on a break for lunch. The court will resume in about 2 hours. I will be with you. Have a good lunch. We'll see you this afternoon. In the meantime, stay safe and get a lot of tea. Fill your bellies with something nice and yummy. We'll see you later.